The minutes from our last meeting. I did have one change. 29. It says Karina will reach out to Stuart Anderson to take a look at this. See if it has any, he has any suggestions, recommendations. Instead of this, can you write?
Yeah,
And I go, it refers to the line before it, but it's not clear. I was to say a possible addition to the fire station facing Cross Street. If anything,
I did. Line 224, climate event should be capitalized. And then back line 108. We agreed to put that on the next joint board agenda with Woodstock. Can we just put that in there? I mean, we've got a great relationship with the Woodstock Board of Selectmen. I'd like to keep it that way. I don't want them to think that we're making unilateral decisions at the 4th of July fireworks without their input.
doesn't it say that though?
it says in the first sentence.
Right.
That's bad.
I mean, line 99. Not page 90.
Okay,
Send that.
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the board. minutes.
Oh, gotcha. I gotcha. Second,
Favor?
aye. No, I went right over that. And I'll make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes as presented.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye. More, I think. Oh, no, it's off your head now. It's just on your body.
It's
Yeah,
like
okay.
every time I turn the corner.
I was doing the same thing.
Going
That's
off my
why I shut
balls.
it. Yeah.
Next on the agenda is the wastewater analysis update. So we have this done, I believe it's 2019. But anyway, it was a while ago. Ray Corporal looked at the sewer capacity. And he did a study on what its current state is and what its projected state is based on all of the vested projects. He updated that as of September 19th. And although we're still well below the capacity on a current level basis, we're not well below it on a vested project basis. In other words, all of the projects that have been approved and vested, like the Landing, the Rapids, Forest Ridge, Village Falls, South Peak, Mansion Hill, and Campers World. Home to Suites. That the projected average daily flow is estimated to be 82% of the 1.3 million gallons per day design capacity. And over 100% of the 1.04 million gallons per day threshold for regulatory engagement. So in other words, it's still only 82% of the capacity. Of the design capacity, but we have to notify state at 80% that we're triggering regulatory engagement. In other words, we have to start figuring out what we're going to do. So although we don't have to do it now, we've approved enough projects and have enough vested projects that we will need to contact them to trigger this once they're all built. So this is kind of a good warning for the town that we need to prepare for what we're gonna do going forward. And I will get on and read some of the recommendations that Ray came up. One is to complete periodic assessments, he's saying like every 1 to 3 years on the available wastewater system. And the assessment should coincide with the rate of development in the community. Given the historically slow and varied pace of development, these updates will help the town anticipate the required system upgrades to maintain the desired level of service. So as these vested projects or new projects come online, let's keep track and see where we're at. Number 2, again, recommendation is to consider requiring a capacity analysis for all new developments during site subdivision and land use permitting process to assess system impacts and plan timely upgrades. Next is to establish developer agreements to fund off-site improvements for the project's trigger capacity limitations. Recommends to promote water conservation through initiatives such as meter replacement, tiered rate structures, low flow fixture requirements, and public education. To set expiration dates for previously approved but unbuilt developments to free up unused capacity and avoid unnecessary capital improvements. To adopt regulations avoiding subdivision or site plan approvals if no building permit is obtained within a set period. As an example, 2 years. To reserve capacity for viable projects. To conduct collection system assessments as needed to identify and cost effectively remove infiltration and inflow. I believe that's an ongoing type thing. I don't know how often you do that, Kim, with the systems to determine any infiltration and inflow into the sewer pipes that needlessly get down to the sewer treatment plant. That's obviously something we want to control. We don't want to be treating water that hasn't been treated. So at 82% of the capacity under a full build-out scenario with vested developments, it is recommended that the town maintain a margin of safety of capacity and no longer allocate capacity to future developments until there is better clarity on actual system demands as vested developments are completed. And then finally, upon issuance of the new permit for the current system, initiate a study to evaluate potential upgrades needed for permit compliance. The study should include projected hydraulic loadings under a town-wide full build-out scenario over a specific planning period. So I think it'd be worth discussing these, and I think that to me, the biggest, most important one is the last one. It really has nothing to do with the capacity study, but it's the most immediate things. We are expecting to be issued a new NIPD's permit by the end of this year, so in the next couple of months. Along with that new permit, we are anticipating some required upgrades either to the system or to the reporting process.
Definitely the reporting process, but
we-
also,
we know that,
yeah,
the rule change. You know, I'm thinking that the reporting process is probably gonna affect our annual budget. That's something that we're gonna have to pay to do every year. No matter, there's no more development, we're gonna have to do.
Mhm.
So let's put that let's anticipate putting that into the budget for this year.
and I believe at last year's budget cycle, we put half of what the estimated cost of the additional testing was going to be. If I remember correctly, last year we got a quote, or H2O Innovations, who runs the treatment plant, got a quote from there's only one company that really does the majority of the testing in the general area. So we received a quote from them on what it would take for us to do the additional testing. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was like $41,000 a year. And think last year during the budget process, we put half of that in because we knew we weren't going to get the full permit until halfway through the year, if not towards the end of the year. So we said we were going to roll the dice and only put half of it in, thinking that we could at least start the reporting process, but next year we'll most likely have to put the full amount in with the issuance of this new permit, right?
And that was just their guess, I believe, on what. This, they anticipated to be required.
Correct.
They could be right,
Could be right.
or
Yeah,
they could be wrong.
true.
And if they're wrong, it's
Right.
probably things that they didn't include.
Yeah.
That.
I think the
that
biggest
state-
expense was the PFOAs, and we know we're gonna have
Yeah,
to, and we know we're gonna have to do those, right?
So anyway, that needs to be, included in the budget. It'd be nice if we got a firm, whatever outline of what is required and,
Mhm.
quote on doing that. But even without those, if we even go back to last year's estimate and use that as a ballpark number, it needs to be in that operating budget. But then the second thing is if they require anything that is more of a capital expense. Right. We're gonna need to know that and then determine whether that's a capital reserve item or a one-time. A one-time budget item. But again, we don't even know what those are gonna be. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And again, that's not expanding or anything, that's just running
Keep status quo.
under,
yeah.
under our new permit. So going back to the other, 8 items, again, just going down the list, I think the assessments every 1 to 3 years. Obviously should be done to update that with new projects that are approved. And whether we do it in 1 year or 3 years or 5 years, I think really depends on the speed as to which the developments are being, I mean, if in the next 3 years we only have 1 new development. Maybe we don't do it.
Mhm.
But again, new development isn't, everything at South Peak is already in, so everything at Egypt Hill, Cross Street.
Right.
Requiring a,
I think it would be good though, because this study was done with not having tons of data from the second phase of Riverwalk or the Hampton Inn or the Home Two Suites. It might be good once those, 2 years from now, when Home Two Suites is fully online and we have 3 years of the Hampton Inn and 2 years of Riverwalk, it might be good to
Yeah.
update it at that point just to see what kind of commercial impact they've had.
that's true, right?
That's a good idea.
Require capacity analyses for all new developments during the site subdivision and land permitting process to assess system impacts and plan timely upgrades. Obviously, that would be a planning board requirement. I don't know if we as a board, request a certain limit to that or leave it up to the planning board's discretion. If someone comes in and wants to build 3 houses, you make them do a system analysis. Or is it for, 15 plus units? I don't know what, I don't know what the board thinks, and there probably should be a board discussion. I don't know. My thought is. First of all, I assume you guys have this report. Mike, do you have a? Okay.
Want me to go make copies?
All right. We'll get you one either by email or a paper copy. Tonight. But I'm assuming that this will get presented. My plan would be for me to present this to the planning board. At the first available opportunity, get it on. Not on the agenda for this meeting, but if we can get on the agenda for the next meeting.
Maybe the 22nd.
And maybe we hand these out at this meeting to everybody.
And they can read them prior to.
Then put it on the agenda for the following.
It's a good idea.
But I think that would be something to discuss is. What's gonna trigger a capacity analysis for someone coming in before the planning board? Is it? Just don't remember, like, did the hand,
Capacity.
Yeah, but didn't you make it a condition of approval on the Home Two Suites that they had to do some sort of testing with Ray at the pinch point right here? I think that was,
but yeah, again, it was Ray, well, it was an engineer that Ray was working with, you can't.
We're aware of this.
Yeah.
And now.
It's not,
Mike, I just sent it to you.
I mean, none of them have ever come in front of the board, and I
did.
didn't even know anything about the pinch.
No,
point.
I think it was a condition of approval. I think Ray Corber might have, during the third-party review of the Home Two Suites, I think Ray Corber might have identified at that time that there may be an issue, and I think it was a condition of approval at the time that they would have to do additional work to ensure that that section, that pinch point can handle the capacity. Yeah. Cause like the common man did it too for the diner. They had to do it too. So, Yeah.
Right.
Neither does,
May-
neither does. the
no,
second-
but I think,
I mean, yeah.
yeah, but I think when, yeah.
Ray.
Right.
I like the idea that it's a condition of approval. So that, again, you're kind of putting it back on the developer, that he now needs to work with Ray or Sarah, whoever the third party.
Right.
Engineer is, to figure out.
Yeah, I think it was included in a technical memorandum and then it got brought to the board's attention and then that's how it kind of, yeah.
Um. To establish developer agreements to fund offsite improvements when projects trigger capacity limitations. Now, I guess I see two sides to that. One is a capacity limitation in the pipes, which is exactly what you just talked about when there was a pinch
Right.
point over here. We said, you can build, but you gotta fix that.
Yeah.
That's an offsite improvement. But when it comes to, we we hit 81%, you gotta now build us a new sewer treatment plant. That's what the,
I don't know.
that's. what
That
the-
might be a little
the-
rough.
That's
to-
really
I know.
low.
That's what the tap fees are. Really, and that's an offsite improvement fund that they need to pay into. I'm thinking that works. Now, it works much better with the water because we've funded the last water cell, paid cash for it out of the tap fee. And by the time we need the next one, again, we may have to adjust the prices as cell, costs go up. But we should be able to fund that one, just paying cash for it with the water tap fee. The sewer is not gonna be like that. No, I mean, because we're not only. At the water treatment plant, we have a water system, we just need to add another block to supply those new people. Down here, we've reached the limit of this, and we have to build basically a whole new plant. To take care of our existing and the addition. So it's not gonna work the same way. But again, the tap fee should be paying for their portion of the. New treatment plant, whatever that ends up being. Go ahead.
No, I just gave it to you.
Because I don't know if that's usually talking about it, we call it, possible immigration revenue. That be. depending on what it is. It's quite a lengthy process, I think, you know, we have a lot of the parts, I think. Having.
Yeah, there's a company called BCM Planning. They're out of Maine. They pretty much do impact fee assessments and schedules for any community in New Hampshire that has one. And it's a very thorough, extensive 30-page report where they look at, you know, demographics of the community, costs associated with things. I can share a copy with you all. It's very extensive. It may be beneficial, you know, we brought it up, and Paul and I brought it up as when we were talking about the planning board, and the planning board is the only people that can actually assess the impact fees. But we do have the ordinance, so it would just be kind of establishing what they are and kind of going through the public hearing process and, you know, going through all those motions. But I think for us to hire that company ourselves is probably expensive. I'm going to say in the 10, 20, 30, $40,000 range is my guess.
Well, I can remember a number of years ago having a conversation with Peter Mallion when he was our attorney about impact fees. Because in Massachusetts, we call them linkage. So you incentivize a developer by, you know, allowing that fee to be directed to something specific that the development is going to have an impact on. So consequently, I think that, you know, if we set up some parameters, what will be impacted? Is it going to be the sewer treatment? Is it going to be the water capacity?
It's not just water,
Oh, no, it's,
police, fire.
it's everything. It's everything. It is. So you remember too, when Riverwalk was built, there was going to be a quote, non-impact fee, but a donation of a new fire truck by Dennis, and that never happened. And he had it in his budget, and it was never requested to be donated, so. That's it.
Right, 'cause
Yeah, to be honest, I don't disagree. It's not like we're gonna have another South Peak come in, you know, with 300 acres, right? We don't know, but the likelihood is probably slimmer than it is these. Well, and I also
yeah, that's
don't,
true.
yeah.
There's a ton of it.
We would,
Indian Head, yes, there's some Clark land that's big, there's a couple of. Yeah. One is between Forest Ridge and Campus World,
oh yeah, that 100 and
One,
something, yeah.
you know, behind, you know, Murray's old house.
I think it
There's
is
Indian
yeah.
Head owns land on this side of the river.
Yeah.
It's,
the brook.
I'm not sure how developable it is, but again, that's, yeah.
It may, my only question is how would it impact the current water and sewer tap assessment fees that we have? Would that have to be reevaluated, or is this in addition to, or is this supersede what we previously had? I mean, that's a question, obviously, I think they could probably help us with. But again, like I said, this company, when I Google impact fee assessments, state of New Hampshire, this company, BCM, comes up 90% of the time. You know, what you could get in return. I mean, and I don't know, that's just me throwing out a number, but I think it might be worthwhile to reach out and say, what is the average plan cost? Right. Well, and we have nothing for police or fire right now, or recreation, or you know,
What I find interesting here is that, and this was just a study
done, yeah.
for Lebanon. Okay, so I'm sure there were whatever parameters the city asked for, but this impact fee was for schools, recreation, what? Schools, recreation.
Very
police,
carefully.
And fire.
Mhm.
So it doesn't even look at water and sewer.
No,
So that's a valid question, but they didn't include it in theirs. Maybe they just do the same thing.
maybe the same thing, right?
You know, obviously the thing we're gonna have to look at with our type of development
the time.
is schools and recreation are, you know, marginally impacted by most of the development in this town, because they don't have, they're not permanent residents. So they don't use the school. But if this whole study, you know, $30,000, we can get that back with the first big development. Again, I don't know who's gonna be developing something that big, but it would be worth at least getting a price and understanding the scope of what they do and how they do it, and, you know, at what point does it become financially advantageous for us to do it? Like, do you do this for a 10 lot subdivision, or do you wait for a, you know, 50 unit development?
I think you do that and you apply it to every subdivision that comes in.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you look at the
So
back,
then
the last
square
page,
foot of-
the last page is their actual fee schedule, I believe. Where it shows you by, yes, like by, I think it's by square foot.
Square foot, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yes.
by square foot. So. We could do it backwards, we could say, okay, this costs $30,000, it's. $5.18 per square foot for a single family detached, or $4.78 for also, just use $5 as a round number. How many square feet of building do we have? Assess before we make the money back to get this? You know, with some assumptions and estimates, but it gives us a ballpark. You know, it might,
2,000 square foot home is $10,000. $5 a foot.
yeah, you're right, so,
My math is good.
yeah, it is. Anyway,
I'll send it to the three of you electronically.
Yep.
And then I'll make copies if you want, but if the board wants me to, I can reach out to them and just get like an average soft cost of what a plan entails.
I think it's worth the conversation.
Let's take a look at it.
Yeah.
What doesn't hurt anything. Doesn't cost anything.
Yes,
Already.
that's one of the things that we have to discuss. I'd kind of like to go through the rest of these recommendations and then, but definitely move on to that point, because that's really the big question. You know, doing this study, I think it's worth it, and at least have a conversation and see where we go. But the big thing is, if we're at 82% right now,
Or we will be once full build out.
that, right, but we've allocated 82%.
Mhm.
Right.
We could just wait till we get there, but what do we do now? You know, if someone comes in with 100 unit project. What
What do we do?
So what do we do or what do we tell them to do? I got, ask them to do.
I did the follow-up to that. This year. How much? Then you have to go to your office.
We're permitted for X number of million gallons per day. Right, so it's the permit limit. That is triggered. No, our permit is. Good for that number, yeah. All right.
It's a good question, though. I would have thought it would be been contingent upon the flow of the river. Right. It made
It's
sense.
just, I wouldn't be swimming in the river these days.
From north of the, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
All right, Tammy,
Yes.
hold your horses, but the next one. is to
Okay.
Promote water conservation through initiatives such as. Meetings.
Meetings? No way.
Structures, goals, goals, fixed requirements, public education.
Oh, your name thing's not up there. It says
Your
meters.
name was-
Your name?
Yeah.
You want to introduce something?
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have meters that we could actually read. That would be phenomenal.
Right, we do have meters,
Huh,
right? But many of the old meters
make me.
don't work. Including every house that's over X years old. I don't know,
Right.
like 10 years or 10 years, I don't know, yeah. Anyway, we've gone through that process with the town, it's something we might go through it again at a different point.
You know, one of the things in there, Mr. Chairman, if I may, it talks about education. And education to me starts in the school system, telling a child, if he sees the water running while he's brushing his teeth for 20 minutes, that's wasting water.
They do that.
And, well, I mean.
Well, we
I'm
do
just
here.
saying, we can emphasize that. I brought that up years ago when we had that meeting, remember, with different groups about the water.
Mhm.
And I think that's so important because it starts, because even, the child sees his mom or dad doing something else. And so they're saying, hey, we're starting a water conservation program in school and we're talking about this, and bring home fact sheets, so that the parents.
It
see.
is part of the science curriculum at Linwood.
Does every
water
kid do it
conservation.
starting at the early grade?
It's part of the curriculum. I don't know what grade actually it starts in, but I know
Even
it's
the
part of
young
the
kids,
curriculum.
Even the young kids, just make them aware. It's like, not throwing, plastic bottles in with the trash, throw them in recycle, simple things like that.
They have a, and I forget what group it is now, is doing a new recycling initiative. So that's new
the
this
school?
year. Yes, one of the kids, I think it's Early Act, actually. The Early Act group is doing a new recycling initiative this year. They've started into it, yeah, Early Act. Yep, Early Act is elementary. Interact is middle high, yep.
Good. Twenty 20.
Yes, it was 5 years ago. We should definitely look at it again. It was
right,
2020,
when
yeah.
we voted on it, it was at the town meeting at the Beacon,
Yeah,
remember, because we had this distance.
yep. Then I
spread
was in, yep.
5 years ago.
I was taking care of my dad at the time. I
Right.
had to zoom in,
So
yeah.
it'll be 6 years at the next town meeting.
Yeah. I think it's time.
As you know.
Thanks,
no,
Paul. I was just thinking we should give him a microphone. Jane's gonna go nuts. Can we give you a microphone so that Jane doing the minutes doesn't have a heart attack?
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, Paul.
Identify yourself.
She'll probably be able to hear him.
Yeah,
That voice.
You notice that there are no nameplates here, they don't know who we are.
Yeah. so-
yeah,
Just say-
we just said that, yeah.
Anyway.
Thank you. just for Jane to do the minutes.
No,
That's
no,
all.
that's
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I'm usually loud enough, but anyway, just like I said with the impact fees, if you look at it now for the water meter fees, it's been 5 or 6 years. Maybe they can do a projection based on what's here, and what's going on that will change people's minds. I mean, I think the big stumbling block, I was on all those water study committees, you know, and the big stumbling block was how we set the rate.
Yes,
That was the biggest stumbling block of
that was huge.
how we set the rate. And we were close to it when we were discussing having a base rate that everyone would pay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that were there, the people who were just up here part-time would still be paying the base rate. But yet it would still keep people conserving, because if they would stay under that base rate, then they would, you know, they wouldn't get charged that much. And the people who wanted to go over that and didn't care, you know,
Could
have the
just
hot
pay.
tubs and water the lawns, and they would pay more to do that. But at least they, you know,
Or leave the water running so they could turn the
we
electric
were
heat
pretty
off.
close, but it just didn't get, I mean, you know, that, I don't know where it went last time, but I don't know what happened last time. I don't think I was part of it, the last one. I was on before that.
I think, Paul, we heard from a number, if I remember correctly, too, from some of the HOAs indicating that in some cases there would be major construction issues to install water meters. Because were they going to have one master meter, or were they gonna have individual meters? You've got a 100-unit condo complex, people had to go through walls and things like that, so I think there was a lot
Well,
of.
what the town did say that every new construction has to have a new meter. So
yeah,
I mean,
I know that.
whether you're a house or a condo, right? So some of the older ones, I mean, that's just simple logistics. You know,
Right.
how they divide that up, just like they divide anything else up, you
Right.
know?
That's up to them.
That's logistics.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, if it's a condo association, then it behooves them to be,
there's a master
if they
meter,
get a
but it's
base,
individual
if
meters,
they get a
it's
base rate and they
different
go over their base rate, then the association has to have X amount, pay X amount more, gets shared
Right.
with all the homeowners.
Right.
So they then control themselves. But, you know, to me, having a base rate keeps there's a lot to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the discussion, as I remember the discussion on condos like that, is that if they have a master meter, the bill goes to the
HOA.
HOA.
They do their
And
own.
it's just,
math.
right, it's just like a dumpster, you know, I throw one bag of trash in the dumpster and you throw 10. No one knows, we both pay the same HOA. But I think the bigger problem in this town is that no matter with water meters, charging for water, whether, you know, no matter what the base rate is, very low, very high, what the limit is, low volume, high, it's gonna shift the burden from
To the locals.
second homeowners with high house values to the locals.
Oh, get the microphone. Just leave it.
Microphone.
Just leave it in front.
Just keep it on your lap. Yeah. Hang on to that microphone.
You have a base rate. Rate is what an ad. They'd say, "Hey, look, Johnny, don't go out and wash your car 3 times this week, because we know we've already used a lot of water."
Well, see, that's why it shifts it to the locals, because you've got the family with 3 or 4 kids that live here year round and they're allowed X amount of gallons and they're going to use them all. But Joe Blow from Idaho that has a camp up here that whatever that comes
right.
up for 7 weekends a year, he's never going to hit that threshold. So it's the local that's going to be paying the per gallon charges after that.
After.
Right. So it was, the fear was shifting it to the locals, and we did have a good solution to that. And I don't have any of that in front of me, and it's been 5 years and I'm old and I can't remember, but
Wait a
we-
minute, if you're paying for a base rate. If you pay for a base rate, then everybody pays for that base rate, whether you're a second homeowner or a primary one. The key is to make that base rate. And I don't know how you do it. You gotta make that base rate somehow. You gotta figure out how much they're actually paying in their taxes for water, and say where that.
that was what we did.
That if you have let's say if these two houses.
But there was a, what the plan we had come up with was a base rate for everybody.
About this thick.
I know, and I remember it, and then it was a huge amount of, up to this, another 1,000,000 gallons. I don't know what it was. It cost $12,
Right.
nothing. But if you went over that, which is where you'd go if you left your water running all winter, so your pipes didn't freeze in the basement, or you wanted to turn the heat down, or you filled your hot tub 17 times, or a pool or something, that's where the extra, and then it was a lot.
No matter how many houses using the same amount of water,
Mm-hmm,
below the minimum,
mm-hmm.
if it's in the middle range or it's absorbent. Pick any two houses.
Yep.
And they're gonna pay the same, let's say the minimum is $500 base, making this up so we can have a talk about it.
Okay,
This house is valued at $350,000. This house is valued at $3.5 million.
mm-hmm.
They pay 10 times the tax rate now. We're gonna switch it so they both pay the same amount for water. Okay, so now we're giving up the 9 times of tax money of this big house,
Big house.
nice house.
And shifting it to the other.
shifting it
But I
to
don't-
Oh, I
Can I
remember
ask
that
a question?
conversation too.
How do we reduce our water operating budget? I don't see our water operating budget going down. at
No,
all.
it's not
If
gonna go
anything, it's
down.
Gonna go up. because
It'll
we're
be
gonna
paid
need-
for through meters instead of taxes.
I got, okay,
So,
but like the
instead of-
budget itself does not
instead
go
of-
down. It most likely goes up.
But instead
because
of
you're
the
gonna need
$3 million
additional employees to
house-
Those meters.
That's right.
yeah, she's not understanding it.
The meters are red saddle, white saddle. But still you need somebody in.
You
town.
need a radio read. You walk, you gotta go around. We did it in Waterville right before I left. You gotta go around, you gotta
Right.
hang off the radio read, you gotta.
Well, no, it's satellite. You can do it on your phone now. You can do it right on the
Yes.
computer in town hall. That's what it was set up.
You're right.
But it's both. Now, we talked about that too. If water coming in should equal water going out minus the out something, yeah, the outdoor something or other. And it doesn't, which means that water is going somewhere that it shouldn't be. But there are leaks in town that, I mean, we've had them up on Route 3 a million times that we didn't know until the ground caved in. That's the stuff that needs to stop. That would be a huge savings. I get,
That doesn't-
no, and that doesn't affect the sewer. No, it doesn't.
I think you're right. No matter what
Yeah.
you do, everything- Yes.
See, right now, the ones that, and it's documented, we know for a fact, there are more than several condos built in the late 70s, early 80s that have electric heat, that turn their heat down to nothing and turn the water on. There are signs in there, turn the heat off, turn the water on before you leave. That is, the locals are paying for that now. These guys are getting free water to keep their heat down, and we're paying for it because it cut, the cost of water is going
They're
up.
paying for it through their taxes.
Everybody's paying, right.
Right, but if they didn't do that, if it was metered and they didn't do that, then that cost wouldn't shift to all taxpayers. Does that make sense? And that cost wouldn't be there.
Some of those formulas that they had were pretty fair, but they just, they just
That-
missed by a little bit.
The hard thing is that with New Hampshire law, we couldn't have one rate for full-time residents and another rate for second homeowners, which would be perfect, but we can't do it. No,
You could do it based
By
on
a little bit.
bedroom and bathroom count.
Every.
It is allowed.
yes, that is true. You
You
could do
can
bedroom and
based on
bath,
bedroom and
yeah,
bath-
yeah,
A fee based on bedrooms and bathroom count.
Yeah. yes, you can.
Without measuring gallons?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to have it metered, but like, it's not based on gallons. You're
Right.
not getting charged a fee based on the gallons or the usage. You're
You-
being charged a fee based on your bedroom and bathroom count.
Yes. Well, that's just the tap fees.
That's just for the.
This
tax
is for
But
metering.
this is for like, so in Waterville, they send a quarterly water and sewer bill. Those quarterly water and sewer bills are not based on the usage. They're metered. They all have brand new meters in. They're all metered. So you can see if there's a leak or if there's conservation efforts.
Right, right, right,
happening,
right, right.
Most likely just for grant accessibility. and,
Yes,
You know,
which is huge.
but it's every bathroom had a point, every bedroom had a point, and your unit is based up on points, and that's what your water and sewer fee was,
Right.
was based on the points.
Yes,
Can you get a? The fee structure?
Sure.
Nothing you could do that.
Yeah, Waterville.
We
Station
had
does
one,
the
we
same
talked-
way As well.
knew-
I remember
knew
we
you could do
talked
that
about
for
it.
Connection.
Yep, nope, that's how they charge their water
Yeah.
and sewer tap fees. I mean, or
That
their
was not-
quarterly water and sewer fees.
That was not discussed, as I remember, it altered in the water. meter.
I still have my file at home. I'll look through. I think I remember a time that we had, because a base and then a
We had a base, yes.
per
You know,
bedroom
based on-
bathroom,
Based
Based
Same based on.
on-
Mm.
That's-
bedroom and bathrooms, yes. The
base
same on
was
our
based-
point special. Oh, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
I have to dig, I'm gonna dig out my file and go through it again.
So it was based on just bedrooms and bathrooms. It also made people, want to fix their assessment cards. Or when you see them on Airbnb at 6 bedrooms, you can say, well, you only paid for 4, so now you get, gonna be charged for 6.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna make a note, water bill. Fee structure.
Okay,
All
let's
right.
go to the next one.
Set expiration dates for previously approved but unbuilt developments with unused capacity. We have a. Is it 1 year? That a condition of that a approval lasts, or is it 2?
1 year for a building, not for a development.
Well, buildings are now 2 years,
2 years, yeah.
So not 2 years.
but not for a development. I don't think you have a timeline on subdivisions.
We,
They 1 year shot, is that correct? But why is the hotel up here came back for their third?
I think now
Because that was land use permit stuff.
it was land. Those go, those are 1 year, right?
They're 2 years now.
2 years, oh, yeah, they were. And you have, once you do substantial development.
Actually, I
once you
think,
Start an investment, then
It's best.
it's best.
yeah, once you've vested, it's in, yeah.
yeah, but I do think that this is something that the planning board should continue, putting a 2-year time limit on subdivisions or site plans. If you don't do anything in 2 years, your water and sewer doesn't count anymore. You're no longer vested.
State has a requirement somewhere
Yep, I'm looking it up right now.
that actually says that your allocate, that your permits or approvals or whatever you get when you're doing that, it's only good for a certain amount of time. I can't remember what that time
Yeah.
is, but that's a state. Anyway,
So if we can get the language of that, that would be a good. Constant
It's
condition.
5 years.
5 years of sewer and water.
It says, so RSA 674-39, 5-year exemption.
Didn't we have to renegotiate with South Peak because their original development agreement expired?
Normally agreements don't expire.
I know we negotiated something. and it was concluded
This is,
before the
this is
sale.
slightly different. Hold on.
Negotiate the rules.
For the,
and you-
DES.
Well, there's a
Okay.
5-year
But there's a
rule.
yearly limit. I don't forget
For
what it
you
was
can't-
originally,
You can't,
because they were beyond that. and
you
we
can't
had
make them
to-
comply
in
with
order
the
be
current
a financing, you had to
regulations if they
change
were
that.
approved within the 5 years. They gotta be on, yeah.
There's another one that actually says.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've seen it as well.
Yeah, I've got it somewhere, probably one.
If
It
that's-
gives you a time that says if you're not vested anymore. And I'm not sure whether that's for water or sewer or both. But I know it's one or the other. The state does have something.
That'd be the second good agenda item for the planning board, is to review that RSA.
Could we change, do you think we better check with legal first to see if we could actually not supersede this statement?
No, but I think I think you're talking about 2 different things. I think the
already-
subdivision, I think the planning board can put an expiration on the subdivision. If you don't file for a building permit, or if you don't make substantial progress going forward, I don't think,
Back in a 5-year-old project, sorry.
I mean, I think you could, to be honest,
They met the 5-year.
I think you can, we'll look into it, but I think you can rescind approval if there's not substantial completion done within X number of years. I do think you can somewhere. I think it's a legal
Okay,
battle.
now, what if it's subject to a developer agreement that
That I don't know.
contemplates a lengthy build out? I mean, the.
Probably
development
not
agreement
then.
with Southgate
But if you
anticipates a
look-
lengthy-
but if you look in South Peak ones, those were supposed, there was a time limit on those, and but they stuff and both like in their master plan stuff, when they were.
Master plan.
By,
We have a new master plan.
I know, it's a real, I know,
Right.
the PDF is.
So you're right, whatever was back then,
Hmm.
we threw away. That's gone.
We negotiated a new one, yeah.
I think even in that one, I think it said it was estimated to be done. In your number, say something about it was estimated to be done by
The original,
estimated completion, not the one you just did.
So-
Somewhere in that developer agreement.
the,
say that. I seem to recall it, maybe. Maybe not, but
I think we have to be careful with putting short time limits on some of them too, because we didn't want South Peak to be built out now. We wanted it to stretch out a little bit because of the water, the sewer, the infrastructure, et cetera. We didn't want them to build it all tomorrow. We wanted them to, spread it out over the next 10, 15 years. I forget the exact timeline, but we didn't want it all done in
Right.
5 years. We
But I
wanted
think
it.
something like the Rapids, which is only 90 units, that's been.
That's
sitting
different. That's a
for,
different animal.
You
Yeah,
know, how many years?
Yep.
7, 8, 9, 10.
agreed.
Now. So, see,
Yeah, they have 3.
No. land is in protection.
Uh-huh.
They're about 50% right now.
Mm.
And that's it, and that's all on the. I don't say bottom piece of land, but in that, around that circle is what they have, yeah. It's all around that circle that's sort of existing. I mean, some of it is dirt road.
Right. Yeah.
Off limits, but I mean, basis of it. All of that land up back, that big,
That huge piece is
Yeah,
not,
that
yeah.
big triangle going up back is, under conservation. And it's subject to a development agreement.
That could be.
154 acres.
Theoretically, you're correct. We're not anywhere near trying to sell the land so someone can build one house. That's where we're not at. You know, I mean, to be honest, we have a developer who was interested and had a partner who was gonna be developing some. A variety of workforce housing. That was dependent on that. Something grant. Through the state that has a rebate for that type of housing.
Mm.
And when that fund got cut from 35 million to 5 million. They. I don't know, could be.
They lost theirs on all because of the fact they fell a few-point shot on the lack of public transportation. That was a head that was applying. Yeah, I talked with Gil Rand about that.
But, the company doing the workforce housing piece. Who has done. Hundreds of units in the state of New Hampshire. Had to back out because they were relying on that revolving fund that they just got.
Mm.
Was there anything on the report about the construction of with the need of that? I don't think that's discussed today. I would put it on that. No, I don't see anything in the report.
No, I mean, I think when it's time to redo the wastewater treatment plant, it's gonna be a full overhaul of all of our pumping stations and all of the system as a whole, not just that specific building and lagoons. I think it's gonna be, that's gonna have to be looked at individually. Campers World, if there's any improvements that are gonna need to be made on Route 3, that's gotta be looked at individually.
And that's where the impact fee could play a part, Paul, big part.
Yeah, and it's, you know,
It's because of that development has a direct impact on that pumping station.
if,
But we don't get the impact fee. Right, no, you can't do it after the fact.
no, but they'll still pay the still the sewer.
Water and
Water and tap fee.
tap fees. That pump station was not part of this. This was looking at the sewer
Capacity
lagoon
study, yeah.
and the upstream part of that that crosses Main Street. There's a map on. Not number, but. And I guess it. Yeah, it was looking at the 24-inch interceptor. 15-inch interceptor and the wastewater treatment plant headworks. Which are all between Route 112 and the lagoons. That was the capacity. Assessment that we've done. So, anyway, Campus World's effect would have to be studied. When that comes time on the piping and the lift station up there. This considers it. After it crosses Main Street, hits the sewer system infrastructure. Okay. I conduct collection system assessments as needed to identify and cost effectively remove infiltration and inflow. That would be a good question to, a follow-up question to ask Ray is like, what is the process for targeting that? Do we start cameraing our whole system? I mean, that's gonna be expensive. Or are there clues to say, okay, we're losing water or we're gaining water in the system in this section? Like, how do we do that?
Yeah, I think Nate does sections of town.
That's what I thought,
Yeah.
which is why I want to ask this question.
Yeah.
because I think we're already doing this. Maybe
Yeah.
it's something we should be doing.
I think we are. I think Nate, we have a line item in the budget right now for scoping, and I think Nate does a section of town, you know. I believe, well, I think the one in the CIP is what we took out, and that's the developers do that now, when they have something that's coming online and they do that, I think. But I think Nate himself does a section scopes a town to get a better understanding, and then whether he needs to like get them cleaned or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Course, they can't do that during the drought. The inflow, I bet you the inflow right now is pretty low. All right. So that brings us down to like the. Big thing is. At this point. What? What authority does the town have, selectmen have to. limit, regulate, control, whatever, development based on that we haven't reached the regulation trigger point, but we've allotted that, that amount out. Like, do we have to wait till we actually get there, but when we, you know, we say, okay, you know, we will limit development to X number of gallon per day estimates per year. Do we even have authority to do that? I don't know how that works, your
You're saying that. When would you limit,
town.
when would you limit? As a new development coming online,
Well, anything that's best that's already in these numbers. So a new
a new
development,
development coming online,
right,
limit the flow, but that's where. In some cases, I'm sure, and refer to council, that the planning board would say, no, we can't do this because we don't have the capacity to do it. Or you, the developer, can pay for X or a new, you know, pumping station or a new holding tank or something like that. I mean, here's where I think the impact is. Yeah, I don't.
well, I think,
When Lance Beer was here in the town, the board is like, put a moratorium on building. Because of the, and I believe that was the state made them.
That was for water, though. I think that was what spurred the new water treatment plant.
that was for water.
Yeah.
And I believe they could only do that for 12 months.
I don't know what.
Yeah,
I don't
think we
remember
can do
the
that
duration.
anymore, right.
Yeah, but I mean, going back to your thing, I mean, so if someone wants to come in and build their own 3-bedroom house. Right, and it's not in this report. Can we say no unless you go to a treatment plant?
No, I'm saying if that unit would cause us to pull the capacity, we would have to do something. And I think the burden is put on that. individual.
Well, no, I think that's what, how the whole impact fee plays into it.
Right,
We can
that's what I'm
only
saying.
pay their percentage of
Right.
what the impact
Right.
would be.
Right.
So if
It would-
three
it-
single-family homes come in, they're gonna,
Right, but do we have the authority to say? No, either, no more development, reach the 80, or hit 82% theoretically. No more development, or can we say, we will continue to allow development, because we have, like, in reality, just in theory, we have plan for. You know, doing something, but we only want to allow X per year. And I think you have to do that in gallons per day, because a house versus, you know, six-bedroom house is gonna be different than a 2-bedroom house, than a, you know, a motel room, whatever. But X gallons per day, per year is all the authorized. That's good, but I don't know if we can do that.
Can we prioritize the needs of the community? Can we say you can build a single family house because we need single family houses, but you can't build a hotel because we don't need hotels?
Yeah.
I don't think we can either, but that would be nice.
Development. Recommended the town, right, and safety of- that's no more- that's the, better third and that's the development. We have to address that. My safety. Boom.
Question like. What does no longer allocate capacity to future development? Mean, does that mean we can right now, even though we're not really anywhere near the 82%, because we've allocated, we just stop all development, so, you know, we're gonna stop all development until we know, until we see what happens. I don't know.
Or the other end of
I
that,
think
can we
it's- I think it's-
allow,
They're not vested. You're not guaranteed to have water rights.
but if Joe comes in over here and he's, I just bought a piece of land, I want to put up a 4-unit building. Okay, build your building. Well, that's gonna take 4 units from one that's already vested,
No, no.
right?
That's
So,
the-
so if we're at
I
our,
don't think- I
if
don't think
we're,
you future vest them. You no longer say you are guaranteed water and sewer until you decide to put a shovel in the ground 10 years.
so at full build out of what we've got allocated already, we're at our threshold where we need to notify the state, correct?
No.
At
no.
full build out of what
At
we've
full
already,
build-out.
at what we've already allocated at full build out, we are at that threshold. So if we let Joe over here build a 4-unit building, that's taking away theoretically from what's already vested. Or we gotta tell Joe that you can't build anymore because we've already allocated that? How do you,
these people that are-
so what about if these people are like the Rapids and never built?
Addition.
Correct.
Therefore, I think you could stop that, but again.
I don't know.
No, you're not guaranteed.
Right,
But
right.
they don't land, they intend to build.
It's a requirement, also they're gonna be waiting.
Right, well, and I think the reality is, we're gonna hit that at some point, and we're gonna need a new wastewater.
But if
treatment
we keep allowing people that grab a piece of land and build over here tomorrow to do that, whether it's big or small, 1 unit or 12, we're gonna get to the point where one of these vested listed in here, we're gonna say, we don't have the capacity. We've notified the state, we've got to do this big study, we've got to fix it before you can build anything. Are we looking at like legal fights then?
Well, we would still only be at 82% of the capacity of the system. That's when we have to start designing a new system. So we would still be able to allocate them their water and their sewer. We still have that 20% margin.
18%,
buffer
yeah,
and
yeah.
18% margin buffer
Okay,
that we could then reallocate out, but it would.
So will
trigger
we
us
have
the
to be careful.
Yeah. Legally, we can't stop them from doing it. Yeah, I don't think you can do a permanent moratorium. I think you can only do temporary moratoriums and time, as far as building goes for like specific reasons. And I think us getting close to our trigger point, is not the state.
So what if we get to 100%, we haven't replaced that or redid it or whatever, and the town doesn't give us funding?
I think when we hit that 80%, we have a stronger case to say we need to slow things down at this point. I don't think we have a strong case saying it now because these hypothetical subdivisions that may take 20 years to get put in.
Could be like the Rapids
be
and
like
sit
the
there for 10 years. Yeah,
I
okay,
think
okay.
when we get to that 82% or that 80% trigger point, I think we have a stronger argument then to say we need to reevaluate
Mhm.
the water and sewer allocation that we're giving to these developments. I think right now, I don't think the state would allow us to do so because we're talking about developments that may take 10 years from now to build.
Well, I don't want to take away the allocation. I just don't want to over allocate,
No, I get it.
you
right.
know?
I just don't think we could have legal justification to stop all building permits or subdivisions.
Because we're at that point.
because
Okay.
In a hypothetical world, if everything came to fruition, we would be at our trigger, which is still 18% under our capacity.
Okay.
Like, got something else?
That's it.
You sound like me now.
But I do think we should. Sorry.
Well, said that we have meter meters on the lots. Do you know how much
Nope, because we have no way of reading them.
The meters.
They
are
all have
installed.
meters. We can't read them. Makes perfect sense. OJ,
I do think we should look into subdivision
hates kids,
timelines. on the
candy, and
recent
meters.
Success, if we can, how we can, those type of things, because I do think we might be encroaching on some, we might want to, the planning board might want to look into at some point. Nothing happens in the rapids and it's been sitting stagnant for 15 years. Do you rescind that subdivision? Forest Ridge, the rest of Forest Ridge, do you rescind that? I don't know.
You can find out. Find out what that. If they are there to DES. That's how long the, authorizations are good for. them.
I think it's multifold. I think it's multi-factor. I think certain things are good for 5 years, certain things are good for 2 years, but I think the planning board always has the authority to say, you have 2 years to put a shovel in the ground to start this project.
And you can do that going forward.
And you can do that going forward, or it's going to be rescinded. I think because I know other communities do that. You have 2 years to get a shovel in the ground. Start substantial completion, or it's being rescinded. I don't think, we obviously haven't done that in the past, but I think that is something that we should, if you want to have vested water and sewer rights, if you want to be added into our calculation, you got to get a shovel in the ground.
So how much- How much of money do they have expended in order to keep their vested rights? Is there, you know what I'm saying? Is there a certain percentage? I would use the landing or use any forest bridge or anything like that, so how much? Do you have
There's
to build
not
that
a
here?
percentage or there's no like way to calculate that.
Right.
All right, it's very much.
Yeah.
So basically you find that out by either, coming to an agreement with the developer or going to court. So those, that's the range of dollars.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you're looking to tell developers, which is the ones that have the most. I mean. So they have the, if for instance, South Peak tomorrow said, you know what? The real estate market's funded right here and we're not gonna do anything for 2 years. Is that something that's okay?
I think going back in time is going to be nearly impossible. I think it's going to have to be something that is going forward.
We have 3 types of vested projects. Okay, and I'm not even sure the answer is gonna be the same for all the projects. You have projects that have been approved. They've started on them. They seem vested based on substantial,
Yeah.
investment, and so they're vested. We have vested projects that anticipated a long build out through a development agreement, like Forest Ridge, like South Peak. And we have vested projects that are vested in legal settlements. Rapids. There's nothing at the Rapids. But there's a lawsuit settlement that agreed that the town would consider it vested and state that it's in. That was a long and difficult negotiation. And it is what it is.
But let's take the hotel, for example, right? The new hotel that's going in, the Home 2 Suites. How many extensions did we give that?
3 or 4.
I think more than that. I think 5 or so. And that caused an issue because we then had to use the old regulations at the time that it was approved to develop its parking and its all this other green space and common space and all that kind of stuff, which in hindsight was a bad idea. We should have told them second round, third round of the extension, we're denying your extension because we have new regulations and we want you to meet the new one.
Triggered.
It triggered a new type, but that's kind of an example of making, kind of holding people to the fire. You have 2 years, you have 3 years, whatever state statute allows us to do, or if we can arbitrarily put that on at the planning board level, but actually hold the developers to that.
What do you check?
I'll look into some of the RSAs and maybe get some clarification from NHMA. I'm pretty sure though, the planning board, because I've seen other communities do it, put timelines, expirations on subdivisions and site plans as they see fit. Usually it's, if the planning board establishes it's going to be 2 years, it'll be 2 years across the board. Like you can't just say, you can't pick on someone and say, you get 4 years, everybody else gets 2 years. But I think it's an establishment at the planning board level that we put a 2-year expiration on all subdivisions. We put a 2-year expirations on site plans. And if nothing happens in that time, then we will rescind your approval.
Or you could say, well,
Or they can apply for an
Or
extension.
they can apply for an
Yeah,
extension and then the planning
Yeah.
board.
can
wait.
consider it. Yeah, yeah.
One extension may be reasonable based on the economy or whatever it may be.
Depending on the
5
circumstances.
extensions, probably not.
Right.
There's been no significant development within.
2 years,
2 years.
2 years.
Ones that you want for a year, I don't know if that time frame is, but if there's been no significant investment within a year's time, that a portion of that comes back, that way they're developing something that,
Are you talking about after the building permit is issued or prior to?
I don't know, I'm talking about a development that's been given the allotment,
Okay,
and then say, they flat all of a sudden, they're not gonna build anything for 2 years, and say, okay, then we're gonna take that part of your allocation. Because,
I think it's all or nothing.
Some of the stuff up, I think one great thing, is grab some of that stuff back.
Yes,
But you
he
would
is.
use it
Yeah.
to somebody
He
who
is.
has a shovel ready.
Yeah, some of that is gonna be.
Trickier
Like-
than-
like, pick the land. They have 66 unbuilt units. Okay. From my understanding of the word vested. It'd be pretty difficult to tell him that he wasn't vested, because it talks about substantial
Mhm.
investment in the project. Between the roads and the
Roads.
culverts and the strong walls. I mean,
Yeah, that built in.
well, they have 13 built as of this analysis.
But the
and
infrastructure
66
The infrastructure, right?
Six-
is a
66 unbuilt.
substantial, yeah.
So if you do it on a percentage basis, is that enough to invest? I'd say no. If you do it on a substantial investment in the infrastructure, you
I'd say
all
yes.
the roads
Yeah.
done, all the culverts done, all the water, all the sewer.
Right. Well,
I wouldn't want to be in court being the lawyer who is defending the town, saying that that is not been
Invested,
a
right.
substantial.
well, and yeah, he has no control over the real estate market and how fast people are gonna be buying
Exactly.
single family lots. But I think, take the Rapids off, the Rapids were part of a lawsuit.
If they weren't part of.
They don't have a road.
There'd be no question, there'd be no question.
There's no infrastructure, none.
Infrastructure.
I would say Forest Ridge is substantially.
That would be another
Yeah.
hard one to
I mean,
defend, yeah.
Half the units are built, the roads in.
Oh, good question.
I think I think the RSA for that 5-year exemption is the 5-year, you have to give them 5 years and you have to allow them to go off of the previous, when it was approved, the regulations that were on it. But I think you could give them that timeline and say, if nothing's done in 5 years, you get to come back in and resubmit and based on the new rules and
We
regulations.
get to resubmit it, just meet the new.
Look at 5 years. They're all gonna be something for 5 years.
No, I mean, that Home 2 Suites got approved in 2018. It's 2025. The Home 2 Suites, the new hotel.
But even look at Forest Ridge.
Yeah,
I mean,
how many years did they go with the cellar holes rotting up there?
Yeah, they did. It's so long.
Forest Ridge has 276 and they've built 222, so they're less than half
Yeah,
they
about
built.
50%, right?
But it's how many units are in those big buildings? Because that's what's left is around that. Isn't it those big buildings that they have left to build up there? Or is it
Yeah.
the duplexes?
They've
Like the landing.
Anything.
Anything, okay.
The lots. It only X amount of built, so consequently, people are sitting on waiting for the right interest rates.
Yeah, I don't think you can hold out.
No,
I mean, you
absolutely
can.
not. That's what I'm saying.
On the water, that's the best.
We're gonna end up doing that.
They go on spending that, they go on report, sell the water plant and. It goes on the tax rate and that's, we've got to keep building, that's what it is.
Yeah, but it'd be nice to have an impact fee in place that says,
Right.
if you're coming in with 100 lot subdivision or whatever it is, we know we're gonna be at capacity at that point. We know we're gonna be in the planning process to design a new treatment plant. You gotta pay your share as an impact fee. Yeah, I think it'd be very hard to grab back, but I think moving forward, putting expirations and timelines and kind of,
The cause of exceeding the capacity is for the new development, not the rest of the development. So you
Right.
can't touch the best of the significant value of one corporation, whatever it may be. You can't do that. I guarantee you that.
I think the important question now is what do you tell people now? About
I don't think we can tell anybody anything right now until we have an impact fee in place that says you gotta pay X, Y, or Z towards the new stuff. Yeah. We haven't come anywhere close to hitting our capacity. I don't think we could tell them no.
Yeah.
Well, we have a new permit that will be in place by the end of the year. That new permit is gonna tell us the improvements that need to be made right now to meet the current criteria in the current permit. We don't know if we're gonna be able to do that.
And so, saying right here, existing system.
Well, it's
Don't know.
If everybody was built.
if everybody was built. Yeah, which no, 50% has been built.
Right.
Less than,
But right now, if everything. If all of this stuff got built,
That we said, yes.
goes built, let's say it all gets built tonight, okay? That sewer system is designed to handle all of this capacity. And would be at 82%. But what she's saying though, is the design of that system might need to be changed to meet the new permit. Not only the testing component of it, but the actual functioning component of it. So if they say, okay, this needs to be changed and that needs to be changed, and. You know, those changes, they're not gonna come forward with an engineer's design of what to do. They're gonna come forward with a. Whatever, limit, restriction, gallons of, Right, right. So let's say they do. Now, you know, to do that is gonna be whatever, $8 million. In order to keep the system, we have to spend that $8 million to meet the permit requirements. And they will give us time to do that.
yes,
But it's not gonna be decades, it's gonna be a few years. But anyway, let's say that I'm never just making this up, because we don't know what's coming. It could be a $30,000 fix and we're done. I doubt it, but let's say. it's
Thank you. I like it.
we get $30 million back.
30
Right, right.
So
Don't know.
we have that information, I think we as a town are gonna be in a better position to discuss what we really need to do down there. When the permit comes in, right, with the requirements associated with the permit and the time deadlines or by the end of this
We've
year.
received a draft of it, and we haven't received the final yet. So Greg Corber and Nate and H2O Innovations are trying to figure out how they can meet, what processes they need to put in place to meet the current limits and the current. We have a draft EPA permit.
What they say, you must have an idea what they said you were gonna have to do.
Yeah, that's gonna be like the $50,000 a year in testing and whatnot. But again, there may be some infrastructure improvements that need to happen to be able to meet those limits.
And as far as I know, they haven't got back to us on what any of that.
No.
And again, it's a draft. But again, it doesn't say you need to buy one of these and
No,
plug it
it
in.
says these
It-
need to be your limits.
You need to have this limit of X chemical.
Nothing to beat that.
They're just saying you have. to-
So, you know, there's not a number affixed to that yet. They're looking at, okay, they could do, what's that?
Huge, yeah.
Yeah.
UFA is. Huge.
Yeah.
It's like PCOCS or something like that. There's another one that's gonna be huge. Has to be shipped to Canada or shipped, nowhere in the Northeast will take it, so it's gotta go across country lines. It's gonna be a real doozy.
So Anyway, this is an important discussion.
Yes.
I think it's gonna become more defined after you get that report, after you see what changes are necessary now. But at this point, anything that gets approved is going to get us to that 80% mark sooner than the current developments that are in here. I don't think we can just say, we're not gonna ever replace that sewer, and we're not gonna, so, you know, we're gonna stop all development right now, period, forever. I don't think we can do that.
Based on what they- things that we have to do.
Impact fees are put on the project at the time of the planning board approval. Yeah, you can't go back. You can't go back in time and say, oh, you're gonna slap you with this impact fee. No, it can only be moving forward.
It'd be on the tax rate.
But I know that. But I know that, the town has the ability to do. Example of features, we haven't been through all the roads, but, especially,
Yeah, betterment assessment, correct, yeah.
so we could do the town betterment assessment on developments based on.
I think it would be hard to quantify that as far as doing it for the wastewater treatment plant. Like most of the times, a betterment assessment is to like bring up a road. You know, like we would do that in Campton every once in a while, like at the towns, people would come in, it was a private road, they wanted it to be a town road, but it had to be bring up to town specs. So they would convince the selectmen to agree upon it, and then we would, you know, bring up the road to town specs, pave it, do all that kind of stuff, and we apply a betterment assessment to all of them. But I've never seen it happen just for like an overreaching project in town.
I say, I believe it has to be affect. The betterment assessment is for something that affects just a certain area.
Yeah.
Like if we didn't, let's say let's say we brought water up a road that doesn't have water.
Yeah.
I don't think it exists in this town, but you know, we're gonna bring water up this public road. And feed these 20 houses that are up there.
Yeah.
We can do a betterment assessment there. When you're placing the sewer lagoons, that's every single thing in town. I mean, that's a tax rate.
Yeah, the betterment assessment is your tax rate going up.
Issues. They want to tie into it.
I don't really know what the issue is at Mansion Hill right now. I think it's hung up at the state level. Not at the town.
This is something they want to tie into. Get out of the septic systems. that they have.
Oh, you mean Mansion Hill Condo Association?
Yes.
Yeah, they have two failing septic, and they want to tie on to the sewer. So they would have to pay the sewer tap fee.
Sewer tap, better, basically, that's.
Well, it's just the sewer tap.
It's
fee.
just a sewer tap
Well, they
fee,
have
and
to
they have to
pay.
pay themselves to have it engineered and connected. Yeah. I thought you meant the, Mansion Hill Association.
They have to do well, capacity now.
It's 16. 16 units,
15,
16 units.
16.
1-6, two 8-unit buildings they want to put on.
8 plus 6.
Yeah. They're already on water. It would just be connecting their sewer.
So I think it would be, number one, worth waiting to see what the NIPS's permit requires and what H2O Innovations and Ray and Nate come up with for solutions and cost of those solutions. Yep, just to see where we stand now. I also think it'd be worth having a conversation with municipal association, just asking about impact fees, and then, you know, this unique situation that we're in, we've hit our our design limit threshold in theory, but there's a lot more building to be done on that. What, is there anything we can do, or do we just say you can keep building until we really hit the 80%? and kind of lock ourselves into knowing that we have to expand. Yeah. That'd be, you know. What are assets of town, what are our rights and.
Yeah.
You're gonna look at the water bill fee structure?
Yeah,
think that's-
I got the send it back, we'll send the impact, the assessment, the Lebanon's, I'll reach out to BCM to get a soft quote on what that kind of entails. I'll get you the Waterville Valley Water and Sewer Quarterly tap fee structure. I have subdivisions, rescinding timelines, 5 years exemptions. Wastewater moratoriums or building moratoriums. We will get to.
Okay, perfect. All right. Let's get this out to the planning board members. Electronic property and put that up for second meeting this month. And the second half of this agenda item is the Route 3 water analysis. Which we asked Weston and Sampson about, the ability of the town's current system as it stands to provide water to the Campbellsville property. And basically, they're saying it's 1,000 foot to 1,000 foot elevation that they can provide adequate volume and pressure under typical situations, including a fire event. So, you know, up to 1,000. It means, they could build up to there right now without making any changes to us.
Yeah,
I don't think that's not a surprise.
I don't think that's a surprise, right? I think that was our threshold kind of to begin with. We did up it a little bit on the South Peak side of things to the 1,100.
I thought, so went, well,
No, South Peak's at 1,100 right now. Yeah, it's 1088 is the number that they can build up to right now. With the new South Peak water tank going in, then they would be able to build over the 1088. They'll probably be able to build to 1188, the 1,200 mark. Maybe that's where you're getting the 1,200 from. But right now it's 1088. It was 950 and we bumped it up to.
well, the, one of the questions that was asked was, is that 1,000 feet, is that at curb stop? Is that so you're building? If you have the 35,000 residual at curb stop, and you build 2 floors or 3 floors, you don't even have that. I think that you said that.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I
think-
believe about.
I believe that the town regulation is what we have to supply to the curb stop.
Yeah.
And that's the 35 pounds.
Yeah,
And
ESI.
then, the 20 minimum.
Under fire flow, yeah, right, under emergency search, but yes, 35 is average, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they may need booster pumps if they wanna go up higher.
But I think, yeah, since the water report identifies some. Like,
So, and
when a proposed bill will follow the water tank will remain above 26.5 feet. But during max state demand, following takes follow the tank, let it drop to approximately 20 feet temporarily. So there's different. Going to max demand and different parameters that are cause problem.
Right, well, I think the goal of this study was just to be able to give us a baseline to know what we can do there now, so when we are approached by developers or potential, whatever it is, selling off the land or whatever it may be, we know you can build to 1,000, 1,000 foot elevation and our system can handle it.
But for is that 1,000 feet? That main pressure zone, but if that feet, I don't. So there's a lot, but. There's buildings there that are above that 1,000 foot now.
We have an
this
issue,
is at the Campbellsville property.
But this is still with the main pressure zone.
Correct, but there's piping issues that also affect.
I thought. when my credit was just main credit on the food. Everything down here, main credit.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. But right now, South Peak isn't allowed to go over the 1100, the 1088. They're all at 1088 or under unless it was previous to like old building. South Peak right now, all their subdivisions coming in are at that 1088 or below. Yeah. No, no. Yeah, like I said, I think their goal is to hit 1200 with the South Peak water tank installation to get to that 1188. Yeah. We are awaiting final approval from the Forest Service when they open their doors again after the governmental shutdown.
I mean, we anticipate that, look at everything.
They've looked at everything. We received an email last week before the shutdown, and they wanted to have Sam change 2 elevation things on the map. And so I talked to Sam this morning. He said he's already sent them in, but to an empty desk essentially. But
Yeah.
he said those are the only comments we've received. They've been resolved. We will hopefully just be waiting for final permit approval. That project will go out to bid this winter or early next winter, January, and for road construction next summer. It's ready to go. It's fully designed.
You want the town manager?
Okay.
Skip that one.
I can skip that one. Okay, so in your packets, I've enclosed the letter that I drafted to DOT requesting a speed limit reduction on New Hampshire 112. Nate has looked into the cost of a speed radar sign, and he believes we can install one that meets DOT specs for approximately 10 grand. So if the board would like me to proceed with the letter, including the speed radar sign, I will get it out tomorrow because it's already done.
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
yes. We did talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about it at the last meeting, but I said I would come in.
So you get a price, and
Yeah.
we already estimated it's gonna be that big. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
aware of what this is about, because the speed limit on 112 here goes 35 to 40. In the area that's highly used by pedestrians, bicyclists, a lot of traffic. We want to push that further up to the east.
Yeah.
And, make it 35 so that people will slow down.
And with that, we're looking at having the radar sign. So it.
So we're gonna have a contest in town, to what language we can put on there. Hey, idiot, slow down, or, something like that, so it'll grab attention. But anyway,
All right.
All right, moving forward, also in your packets, we were notified last week that the town has been approved for the
Saw
state's
that.
housing champion designation. So, that says, please see the enclosed letter. As a housing champion, we will be offered significant advantages when applying for various state permits and grants. This recognition often translates into higher scores on grant application, priority consideration during the review process, and an increased likelihood of securing crucial funding for our projects. To formally recognize and celebrate our achievement, they would like to schedule a time to visit our community to present a Housing Champion Certificate of Achievement and plaque. And they will be in touch shortly to identify a time and fall.
is this still valid?
Well, it was as of last week, so
Why? He's no longer there.
Taylor Castle.
They'll cast on, so. Yeah. It's controversy with the reappointment.
Well, I think this was a state funded project or yeah, but I did not know that.
Yes, it's not longer there. I just talked with him a week ago. About the project. Yeah, we're open another project.
Yeah, while we're on this too, before I move forward, I did look into the Invest New Hampshire 2.0 program guidance, and I also reached out to some of the developers that we could maybe have help with this. I downloaded the application. There's no way that we would even be.
We started the application for that last Right.
Yeah.
The Veterans Housing District. And we got back, you have to fill in this, you have to fill in that.
Yeah.
It's made for a large scale
It's
development that people are ready to charge rents and.
Yeah, they want
19 pages.
19 pages, it's 14 pages long. They want hard costs, soft costs, total development costs, 5-year income and expense projections, 5-year occupancy rate assumptions, 5-year vacancy and collection losses assumptions, 5-year operating expenses, 5-year operating property taxes and insurance, 5 years of repair and maintenance, 5 years of debt service cost. There's just no way. We don't have that.
So we were putting TBD.
Yeah.
Determined by the house. Then they kicked it back. to us,
Yeah.
the X, Y, Z.
So rather than spend more time on this, I just decided that it's not a useful, we're just the likelihood that we would even be considered
In this-
at this stage in the game.
$7 million in funds.
And they said that they want it to go out in $1 million increments to 7 different. Just want it to be gone. I just think it's not a viable option. for us at this point.
But getting back to.
Getting up to the good news, yes. So, I will, I told, Leanne is the woman I'm working with from BEA. I told her just to give me some dates and times if she wanted to do it at a selectman meeting. I gave her the schedule for the selectmen's and we'll figure out what works best and we'll come in and we'll do the little presentation and all that good stuff.
Sounds good. And part of getting this designation was the continuing education.
Correct, yes.
Which
So
which
thank
the
you to the planning board for, yes,
and zoning
and zoning, yeah.
both very much participated in that, helped earn points towards this thing, so.
Nice.
No, I think this is good. This was a group
It's collaborative effort.
collaborative.
Yeah.
To
Good.
get this done.
Yeah, and we scored a 94 out of 100. So
Fantastic.
we did pretty good.
So, do you have a copy of this? We give that.
Here.
Can you send that to the, want to send it to the whole planning board and read or announce it this, I mean, the planning board was part of getting this, I just think they should be aware of.
Absolutely. Listen, I didn't think I was gonna come to the select board meeting and get instructions for the planning board. Okay, I'm just kidding.
We just emailed you. So
I'm just kidding. Um. Okay. Moving forward, we kind of briefly touched upon this, but I'll just go over it quickly. The Mansion Hill Condo Association is looking to tie in 2 buildings to the town's sewer system, 4 Bear Path and 9 Duck Pond Way. Both buildings have 8 2-bedroom, 2-bath units. I've reached out to Ray Corbett to make sure the system on Mansion Hill Road down to East Spur can handle the additional capacity. Once Ray confirms, Mansion Hill Condo will be required to engineer the plans and pay the sewer tap connection fee of $43,200. WPI's White Mountain Project Center invite. So students from Worcester Polytech Institute enrolled in the White Mountains Project will present their final projects this upcoming Thursday, October 9th from 11 to 2 p.m. here at Town Hall. Similar to last year, I don't know if you remember they did this last year as well, that they are inviting the selectmen to attend and anybody from the public is more than welcome to attend as well. The project center's mission is to facilitate environmental stewardship, beginning with the White Mountain National Forest. So the students were here today from 10 to 2 practicing their presentations, and they'll be back on Thursday for their final reports. So WPI, Worcester Polytech. So
I would love to see.
last year, I sat in on a couple, Sean sat in on a couple, we kind of all took turns because none of us could take the whole day. And that's, I think, what we plan on doing again this year is just everybody kind of take turns, so.
Wayne, we nominate you. I'll try.
They. is that different topics?
Oh, yes, they all have to individually create their own kind of initiative, their own projects. So there's some on watershed issues, there's some on recreational stuff. Everybody has their own kind of, it's like their capstone project for, you know, their graduation. There's a bunch of different topics. Moving forward, DOT 10-year plan, the 2027 to 2036 public hearings. So DOT and the Governor's Advisory Commission are holding public hearings in regards to the 10-year plan. North Country Council will be there to advocate for their regional transportation plan, which includes portions of Lincoln and 112. All are invited to attend. The two meetings closest to Lincoln are Tuesday, October 14th at 6 o'clock at the Bethlehem Town offices, and Monday, October 20th at 6 p.m. at the Pease Public Library in Plymouth. We have a meeting that Monday, but I figured I would let the public know because it's open to the public. Special event permit, No Kings Organization. So we have received an inquiry from Central New Hampshire Indivisible requesting a special event permit to hold a No Kings rally on October 18th from 1 to 3 p.m. as part of a nationwide event. They would like to hold the rally on public sidewalks from the White Mountain Visitor Center to South Mountain Drive. The organizer has been in touch with Chief Morris and is coordinating event marshals to ensure attendees do not obstruct the sidewalks, roadway, and private land. They have also contacted various businesses in towns regarding their use of public restrooms and parking. So Chad and I kind of mulled this over. They do it in other communities, like such as Plymouth. I see them every Tuesday, they're there. So it's something that we can't necessarily deny or want to deny, but we also just want to make sure that our public safety is our number one. So he's going to make sure that the route is obviously part of patrol that day. He said he might have a certain person kind of designated to the Main Street area, making sure that crosswalks and sidewalks and, like I said, private land. You know, everyone's being respectful of that. So. Eversource transmission line rebuild project. So Eversource is working towards replacing the existing transmission line structures along the X178 transmission line, which runs through Campton, Thornton, Woodstock, Lincoln, Easton, Sugar Hill, Bethlehem, Dalton, Whitefield. All of the work in Lincoln is being conducted on the U.S. Forest Service land. Eversource will be soon filing an application with the New Hampshire Site Evaluation Committee for a certificate of site and facility for the project. We are invited to attend, as well as the public, the upcoming information session on Thursday, October 16th. Here at the Linwood High School. The open house is from 4 to 6:15. 4:30, excuse me, 4:30 to 6:15. And then the presentation and question and answer period will be from 6:30 to 8. Eversource had come in about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer, and introduced the project to the select board. And again, because it's all within the Forest Service land, we have very little authority over what they are demanding on their land, and their restrictions are going to be much restricted. As we know from trying to build something on Forest Service land. But again, it's open to the public and anyone that is, you know, has questions, comments, or attend. And then lastly, I have White Mountain National Forest government shutdown update. So we received an email from Cheryl Reardon. She sent out an informational email updating the public on how the government shutdown, government's spelled wrong, Jeff, you didn't get that on me, will affect the White Mountain National Forest. So what remains open and operational is the White Mountain National Forest campgrounds will remain open for visitors. Public restrooms, including those at Lincoln Woods, along the Kangamangas Highway, and other key areas will continue to be available. Parking lots and trailheads across the forest will remain open, and the White Mountain National Forest will continue to enforce and collect the standard $5 daily parking. Essential personnel, including law enforcement, firefighting teams, disaster response crews, and some rangers will continue their critical work. What will be closed or suspended is all White Mountain National Forest visitor centers and ranger stations are closed effective immediately. And then all non-essential rangers have been furloughed and all voluntary programs have been canceled until further notice. That's not.
White Mountain Attractions, that's not a government.
That's still.
Yeah, that's not a government entity.
And that's pretty much all I have for the town manager's report. I have
Well, you know,
no,
Route 3 water main?
oh, Route 3 water main. So the police met on site with Sam Kenny and Nate Hadaway last week. I'll be honest, I think they were taken aback at the level of traffic that the community had already had. And a decision was made to hold off another week. They did not want to rip apart the parking areas of the Indian Head or Parker's Motel.
Right
during-
before Columbus Day. Yep,
So
makes sense.
they, to save us a little grief and aggravation, they have decided to push it off until after Columbus Day weekend. In an effort to hopefully have the traffic be slightly reduced, but also to not disrupt those businesses during a heavily.
Yeah. That's much appreciated.
We were told they would bring up. They know the deadline's November 15th, and they know that the town is going to impose the penalties and fees if they do not complete the project by then.
Okay,
So after Columbus Day, they are gonna be busting ass. to
They
get
are gonna-
that done.
they're working 24/7. Yep, good.
They said
It
that
will.
most likely they'll start with one crew and then we'll transition to a second crew shortly thereafter.
So,
Nate has been in contact with them previously, so they know this is coming down the line. I don't know if they know that it's happening next week, but we'll make sure. that-
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, definitely.
No, we don't need it, like I said, and I think as much as it puts a time crunch on everybody, I think it's the better call to not do it during Columbus Day.
Agreed, agreed. Anyone that's been in Lincoln for Columbus Day knows that that's
Yeah.
a thing.
Last meeting, we talked, we mentioned. We did that.
Hmm,
Yes.
I want to make sure we put something substantial into the town report. With the picture, with the write up, absolutely. Yeah, I think Jane will listen to this and know people
Get on it.
phenomenal job, but I just want to make sure that. Gets mentioned.
Yep.
Can you talk, I know that we're gonna discuss this with Woodstock, but if you talk to. Lou and or.
I've sent emails asking for permission to potentially use that area. I have not heard back as of yet.
Be nice if we get an invitation.
Yes.
For the meeting with Woodstock, which is on next meeting.
It's the 20th.
But yeah, so 2 weeks from tonight.
Yes, hopefully I will have at least an, like you said, an indication of whether that would be okay or not.
You also talked at the last meeting about Logan Lane.
Yes,
I talked,
I've sent the property owners certified letters
okay,
with the copy of the survey, letting them know that the town intends to install a sidewalk next summer in that location. Unless they would be willing to potentially talk about relocation of an easement or something like that. And I haven't heard anything back from Mr. Rogers, but the neighbor that the other abutting property has reached out and said he was open and willing to have a discussion. So we've been kind of playing a little bit of phone tag, but
oh, good.
but he said he would be willing potentially to have a conversation about relocating it onto his property to save those trees. You know, landscaping.
that would be good, I mean. from my view of it, seems like that people want to decide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of 50-50 because I think people right now are kind of using the driveway of the other property, of Roger's property already. It's already kind of got like a little bit of a beaten footpath. But either way, I think it's ideal if we can do it while maintaining that landscaping. It's significant landscaping, so if we could relocate and maybe it's, you know, an easement on the property to put in a sidewalk versus us. Cutting down all those trees, I think that's an avenue we should investigate.
I mean, imagine on the other side. You're right that existing driveway sort of leads to the rest. But then again, if they gave up an easement, it'd be on their driveway versus on this side would be just on.
Grass.
Sure.
True.
Which would affect the function of the driveway.
Yes.
I mean, I can see. that. I just wanna make sure. We're not gonna do anything now.
I told them summer
Wait till this
26.
comes.
Yeah, I told them summer 26 is most likely when it would happen.
And then typically after the Highland Games, we have like a post event wrap up. I assume that we're gonna do that or with not we, but
Loon and yeah,
the Loon.
yes. I imagine so. I personally haven't heard anything about it, but I know that Loon's been,
It's usually not good.
That's true.
Oh,
It has
okay.
a big event, right,
Yeah, they have. the
oh yeah, they have the
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest, right? Yeah, I haven't personally heard anything about it, but I imagine that's still. Okay. Right. But we did receive a nice letter from Loon. It's in that folder, OJ.
Yeah, that's where I said, I
Yeah.
just found a thing. Fine. I don't need to read the whole thing. This is from Brian Norton, President and General Manager at Loon. And just wanted to extend our heartfelt thanks to the town of Lincoln, town of Woodstock, and the entire Linwood community. for Your continued support in producing the New Hampshire Highland Games. And then he goes on and,
Perfect.
yeah, just a letter of deeply grateful for your continued collaboration and support.
Well, I think it's great and thank them for continuing to allow locals in to bring out Sunday. That's huge.
Mhm.
It is.
It's huge.
Agreed.
And I think that's fantastic. They do that.
Just other things that are in here, we're gonna be closed on Columbus Day. Big surprise. The annual meeting for the Chamber of Commerce is Monday, October 20th, so it's day of our next meeting, but it's a lunchtime thing, so it's 11:30 to 1:30.
Mhm.
I'm going to be going.
Where is it?
I'll be going large. So, I don't know if either one of you want to go, but, it needs to be, paid for and registered ahead of time.
What time?
So, 11:30 to 1:30, Monday, October 20th.
I can't.
I don't know if that's something you want.
I'll give you a call.
Okay.
To know.
In regards to that too, just because it's also a planning board matter and we have a lot of planning board members here this evening. The capital, what resilience planning, sorry, the name resilience, Crystal from Resilience Planning reached out to me and asked for contact information for Kim Pickering so they could either do a small presentation that day at the chamber annual meeting, or at least be able to give them a QR code so they can help kind of with the input stuff like they talked about when they were here at the last meeting. So they are staying on top of it. Yeah, for the master plan. Yep. Yeah. So.
Okay, I'm gonna keep that. You can look at it, but I want to.
Yep.
Keep those in mind. And then there's the Halloween candy drive. that we
Yeah,
do every year. Drop-off locations include the community center, library,
In here.
here,
Mhm.
or the Woodstock Town Hall.
Yep.
And that is.
Get those kilos sugared up.
Shut down trees for people, here in town in Lincoln, and which we get lots and lots of visitors, trick or treating from other towns, rural areas. They come to Lincoln because it's safe, it's easy, which puts a huge impact on some of the residents that are spending, $300, $400, $500 on candy,
Yeah.
and that's not an exaggeration.
No, it's not cheap.
So it's collects candy donations and whatever we don't get enough, then the Friends of Rec goes and buys about $1,800 worth of candy usually. To donate to, which is only about half of what they'll have to pay.
Well, candy is extremely expensive. You think that it used to, it used to be a lot cheaper than what it was, yeah.
Get some out of
Mhm.
computers will give you half of that in candy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of our goal to do. So it's an important.
Yeah.
And I see some grimacing over there, but the reading is important to the kids and they love it. Okay. OJ doesn't like kids.
Popcorn balls, if they're real quick, they go.
You get that before the car go, you can get one. I know those are great. I miss those.
And this is,
Don't forget that in signatures
this is a Friends of Rec.
Yeah.
Things, and it also includes Woodstock. It
Yes.
Closes down,
They closed down.
Young Street,
Yeah.
Paradise, Bell Street, yeah, and Woodstock, and do the same type of thing. And I'm sure there's kids from out of town, but the vast majority of Lincoln kids and.
Absolutely, no question.
Yeah,
Kids
okay.
definitely benefit hugely.
Mhm.
From all over town.
Yeah. Well, and they'll do the parade here during the day as well. So we'll see them.
That's right, they'll come through here, right?
They come through here. Yep.
That was all I had, I guess,
You just have the capital reserve thing.
capital
Yeah.
reserve-
Disbursements. Yeah.
that need to be authorized. Did you have anything?
Just a reminder to all those watching, the multitude, that October 15th is the open house at the police station.
Oh,
Thank you.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. From
Yeah.
5 to 7.
And ICE will be at the door greeting people.
No. The Valley Brenzinger will also be there. John Adams and Bob Robercheck will be there as well. Yes, they want to come up. They want to participate, answer any questions and help with the, all that good stuff. So.
Wait.
Yeah. So, yeah, well.
And there was an issue.
Yeah, I guess my concern is not the games or the school. It's having that be a year-round thing that people can park there.
Fence around that spot, fence between the bike path and the road.
Mhm.
And that.
You have to say if they would consider moving. Signs.
Just on that
The east side.
east side.
And the side that has the ball field, and no one has to, when they leave the ball field, they can get the big car, they don't have to cross the road.
And then between Lincoln Green and however far in. Intersection you have to be.
Yeah, there's a certain, right, 20 feet or 50 feet or something like that.
I don't see it being a big deal. I mean, it's a safety issue. If the state says yay,
I agree with keeping the no parking on the other side of it, so they're not working on our side of the process.
Well, if people come around that corner there, the last corner up further, and they come on and something.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
I stopped doing
again, I just, safety is paramount there, obviously. So, we can ask.
finding it. Yeah. And I have one other thing, but I'll have a. Related to. Yeah.
Yeah, I have some personnel stuff. I need to go into non-public for too.
Public participation. Go ahead, Paul.
At the last planning board meeting, we talked to you about the planner position. We're gonna bring that up. You said the board plan.
Yes, we did talk about the plan's position. I mean. Yep. Um. Planning board, thank you for reminding me, the planning board had talked about this and was. Thinking that it may be better to hire a more seasoned and professional planner versus a planning administrator or assistant, dealing more with the paperwork. I know you are aware of this and you want to share your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't object to that idea. I just think that it's not as simple as just we're gonna go hire a town planner, you know? I think if the select board and the planning board feels strongly that we should have a town planner, I'm not gonna be the wrench, you know, I'm not gonna be the person that says absolutely not. I don't think we need that. I guess my concern is that having a town planner come in is going to be most likely a significant investment, correct? I think for us to get a professional town planner with some sort of degree in planning and development or engineering or something along those lines is going to most likely be a six-figure job. And again, it's worth the money if the both boards feel like it's worth the money and it's worth the investment. I don't argue with that, but I do think that has a trickle down effect on multiple things. I think when you have a planner come in and they have very limited supervisory I guess responsibilities where they may only have one staff member that they're supervising, or maybe zero staff members, two staff members maybe that they're supervising, you're going to have to look at your other supervisory positions and also discuss what their compensation package is going to be. You know, it's hard to justify one position with one or two people that they're supervising getting paid, let's say $105,000 a year. And then you have other department heads that may have 6, 12, 15, how many people underneath them. They're going to most likely want a similar compensation. So I do think it kind of creates a ripple effect of, you know, where compensation lies across middle management positions or upper management positions across the board in town. I also have concerns that if we put it out for advertising at that $90,000 range and hope that maybe we get someone a little bit, you know, maybe greener, maybe fresh out of college, something along those lines, they're most likely going to be doing the role of a planning and zoning administrator and not necessarily a town planner. So it's a possibility that we could get someone in for a lesser rate or a reduced rate, but I think we're not going to be getting the experience and expertise that the planning board or the town is looking for in that position. I also think that any planning and zoning, the whole point of us going with the planning and zoning administrator, and maybe the planning board wasn't aware of this, is that, you know, we would like to restructure roles and responsibilities in-house. Right now, we used to have a part-time finance person who used to work for us 20 hours a week or something. We eliminated that position when we brought on the new finance director, but that new finance director is also doing all of the assessing work and she can't handle both workloads. Like she needs to concentrate on finance. So the whole point of doing a planning and zoning administrator was we would have someone that was strictly for planning and zoning for the planning board and zoning boards as their kind of like administrative assistant. They would do all your minutes, they would do all your noticing, all that kind of stuff, attend the meetings, those type of things. Jade would then take on the role of the assessing, and she'd be more of a traditional land use assessing coordinator where she was doing all of our tax maps, all of our assessing and the code enforcement kind of building side of things. So we were kind of redistributing tasks. We hire a town planner, no town planner is going to do your minutes for you. And if we do restructure the workload in-house, Jade's also not going to be able to do the minutes for you. So then are we hiring someone, whether it's part-time or it's assistant to the planning, we would need that additional workload because a town planner is not going to do your minutes or those type of kind of administrative tasks. Again, I'm open to discussing it. I'm open to trying to kind of navigate the waters. I haven't put it out for advertisement yet. I watched the end of the planning board meeting. I knew this was coming. But that's kind of where I stand, where my concerns are and, you know, I guess wanted the select board's opinion. I know I listened to the planning board meeting, so I understand that they find it important to kind of have someone with that expertise. I just think that it's going to have a somewhat of a ripple effect. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Just a couple questions. Is that position necessary full-time if we went with a planner per
Yes,
se? I mean, is there enough activity to, make it worthwhile to have that person in here 5 days a week, 8 hours a day?
yeah,
I
yes.
mean, I see what's going on. All I have to do is look at the office back there.
Yep.
But by the same token, if you feel that we can get along with an administrator, then, you're the governing body here, i.e. as far as the employment goes. I would support your position. I understand where Paul and the planning board are coming from. But if the job can get done, with an administrator, based on what you just cited, I think that, I would support that.
I think it looks different. I think the two positions look different. I think what I'm proposing, I think the planning board, I think is justified in them saying that they're looking for something more than this. They're looking for something with someone who has a degree in planning, someone who has a degree in engineering, someone who has.
Town manager was our town planner. Seriously, he wore town planner hat, and so did Butch. And it was Butch that said, look, that's not my wheelhouse, I am not a planner. But it worked. Carol even.
I was gonna say, Carol was hired as a planning and zoning administrator, correct?
So was Matt Henry. Then there was another one. Yeah. Yeah. So he was up in that. He was after that, yeah. And it worked, right? And it was efficient. And I think your management of the office is awesome. And I think you're on the right path. Maybe what you need to do. You know what you need, so you want vision for it. And that, having a town plan, having a system. In your, what you needed. And I think. And we're trying that. And seeing how it can work. Before we jump that next level, that's right. It's a ripple effect it's going to be.
And that's another thing. I mean, anything like that is not set in concrete. Somebody can be on 6 months temporary probation. If it's not what they expect, then, move on and thank you for your service. But didn't work out the way we anticipated it to, and you haven't lived up to the standards that we, the planning board, the collective group, anticipated. So consequently, in my opinion, no sense in trying.
Don't be the boss. You get a vision.
Yeah, but I don't like to make decisions in a bubble either. If I feel like if the boards feel strongly that this is what the town needs, I don't want to be the roadblock that says, no, I know best. Like, that's just not how I manage. It's not how I approach things with you guys, I would agree. Yeah. I mean, like I said, no, and like I said, I don't disagree. I see the merits in them wanting someone with expertise, right? I see the merits in that. I just think, like I said, I'm concerned with the bigger picture and how that looks and how then roles would be redelegated. And I think if we brought a town planner on, we would need to bring someone else on as well, like even if it's part-time, someone to do the minutes and kind of the administrative stuff. Because the way I envision roles being, or tasks being redelegated, I don't think anybody who's a town planner who has a degree in engineering or has a degree in urban planning thinks they're gonna come in and they're gonna do minutes to the select board meetings and those type of kind of more traditional administrative tasks.
And I think what they would be doing would be some of the more long-term
Sure.
planning. I would think that they would be the ones looking into the RSA's.
Yeah, I'd be,
Calling municipal association and doing that kind of stuff.
correct.
I'm not sure how much of that, work is gonna come down the line in the future. Obviously, if they were here today, that'd be their job.
Yeah.
Without them here today, that's becoming your job.
Yeah, I mean, I've been the planning and zoning administrator now for the last month.
Doing that kind of stuff. I think I think it's limited, in my opinion, it's limited as to what additional service they can provide to the town and the planning board. I also wonder, maybe I'm wrong, is of the availability of people to hire at that expertise level. You know, I know that positions are hard to fill. And I know it can be hit or miss, you know, there might be a town planner down in Connecticut today who's thinking of retiring up to their vacation condo at Loon and wants a, you know, a job for 5 more years or whatever, and be perfect. But I'm not sure how realistic that is, if that person exists. We won't know until we advertise, but I'm thinking that an administrative position is going to have a broader work pool.
I think in this area, yes.
Particularly after all the feds being laid off.
Well, let's see.
I mean, we could also be crazy and advertise for both and see what we get.
Well, you know, one of the things, you know, planning board, we've got 3 members here, is have an input into the job description. Maybe you can combine what they're seeking with what you.
I mean, I did give them a copy of the job description at the last meeting,
Did
and
you
that's what
modify-
stemmed the conversation of the
Can
town.
you
planner.
modify that?
No, because I guess a town planner job description is gonna look much different.
Okay, you can't combine. I know what you're talking
I mean, you can combine, I mean, to be honest, I stole this from Belmont. So it's what Belmont hires their town administrator or their planning and zoning administrator under. So I stole a lot of it from another community, trying to. But there are some things that I added in there because like I said, someone who is doing the upper management work is also not going to be doing minutes, you know, so I did have to kind of finesse it to kind of cover what we need as far as roles and responsibilities go, in addition to kind of like a traditional planner. So I have, and again, like I said, I am open. I saw that they were, you know, were passionate about it, but those are my concerns just as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all the above, I guess, you know, but
Yeah, he's on.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I can see it.
the thing I think we've been missing is that higher degree of planning professionalism. Not you can't get in there and pinch it, you know, but you're a pretty busy person, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be running the
No,
planning
well,
department.
no,
if you
no,
want me to be
I know,
quite honest.
But what I'm saying is that level that we're dealing with, whether it's a development or whether it's, you know, the person wants to put an addition on the garage or a deck, those are the easy things. It's the things that are coming in now with the stormwater management. We had, I had a nice long conversation with Randy the other day about how we might enhance that to be able to get it done so we don't have issues like we had over at Cedar Circle. But
there's things between that and, we're talking about impact fees. We're talking about, so those types of projects, those types of upper management tiered projects are what we're missing. We can do the easy stuff. It's when we get, capital projects, I mean, all the stuff that person should be relevantly skilled in, to be able to do. And I don't think it's a matter of how much you're paying that person. I know it sounds weird coming from me, but it's a matter of getting what you're getting back from that person. So when you're trying to discuss what you're paying a planner that has some background engineer schooling and engineering or civil engineering or mechanical engineering or planning, that's a whole different ballpark when you're talking to the guy who just runs a 10-wheeler or the guy who's running 3 people and just do maintenance projects all day long. It's a different type of person, So I mean, when you're really bringing that person in, you're comparing skill sets equal to probably what Karina is, or that's the way I look at it. I mean, we used to have Paul Pearl, who was an engineer planner. I mean, when we first started, things were, it was great to have that, to be able to pull from that kind of experience. When we had, who else was it? Mark, huh?
Mark Resnick?
Mark Resnick, he was good with that type of stuff too. I mean, there's a lot of different things that they pull from that, I gotta tell you, I do one heck of a lot of research and my wife hates it because all I do is research. She hates it. But I mean, I do it because I want to be knowledgeable about what I'm talking about when I'm sitting up there like you are right now. I mean, you can't just sit there in a meeting with a bunch of developers and look like you're an idiot and you didn't study anything and you didn't take a look at it. I mean, you gotta, I mean, there's a lot between just the ordinances and how they're enforced and how they're,
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
applied to different things. It's not just the ordinances. Karina makes comment, she's been making a comment for a long time, but we should be taking a look at our ordinances and be looking to modify them. And we can't find time to wipe our nose, never mind take a look at some of the ordinances, so I think that for me, having that professional skill is worth a lot. I mean, I've been on the planning board several times, so I mean, it's not that I haven't had the experience with the planning board. I gotta tell you, I think that we've been better when the planning board has had a more professionally higher skilled technical person than what we've had in the past. I'll just say that. That's all I'm gonna say about the past. I just think that, I think we need to move to the future. I think Lincoln's still changing. It's growing to that big. I mean, from the traffic to the everything, and we need help. And instead of hiring it out as a subcontractor to someone, we should be looking to have somebody that's another Karina and the planning board that can guide us through that can really do that, and that's kind of the way that I look at it.
well, but the likelihood of us hiring someone that's equivalent to me for the price tag of even me, we're going to be getting someone not with the years of experience that you're talking about. In today's labor market, like you're going to be getting someone probably fresh out of college who's going to use this as a stepping stone for them to go somewhere else. And they're not going to have that knowledge and skill. I mean, they may have a bachelor's, they may have a bachelor's degree and something along those lines, but I don't think you're not going to be getting a civil engineer. A civil engineer is not going to come in.
I don't think we are either.
Yeah.
I mean, I think until we try, I don't think we're gonna find out what we're gonna get. And if we try and there's nobody out there, then I guess we have to go back to taking a look at what else we can have that might work. But without trying, to me, I'd like to try it, and the planning board seemed to think that way too, but I mean, Mike's there, he can speak about it.
Well, I agree with the level of intellect that having skills that they don't bypass things or miss stuff, or their competence and comprehension of things and efficiency may be different. And that may take away from other people having to jump in and do stuff. So it's a possibility with that level of person that they kind of run the show, you might say, somewhat by themselves. I mean, I don't know what it's like in the office. I don't know what it's like in the office, so I can't answer to that, but I'm figuring someone who read prints and maybe talk better with Ray or whoever an engineer might be. They may be able to just circumvent a lot of issues that we've come up against that don't need to be there anymore. That's the only thing I'm going with by going to a higher level. And if they're able to loosen you up where you don't have to worry about things, you don't have to be actively involved.
Yeah.
I'm just
I mean,
saying,
my goal is not to be actively involved in the planning board on a day-to-day basis. I mean, my last 2 months have been 50% of my job is planning right now. And I don't want that to continue on to
right.
the future.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I'm
Right.
looking for someone competent as well to come in and be able to give you sound advice, who's organized, who can do all the things
So,
you're talking about.
right, so if we went out at a planner level and like Paul said, try it, see what we get. And if it doesn't work, then we kind of scale down if we need to. But I'd like to start at the higher end to try and get that level of person in. That's, again, I know you have your politics in your office and workings and such, but that's the way I'm looking at it. And the other trickle down effect that you were saying too. Whatever.
Right, but so do our other higher management positions, including myself, including the police chief, including the public works director. They're all college educated. They all are experts in their field. And so as much as you might compare someone who's driving a dump truck or something, maybe is a different skill set. Yes, that's absolutely correct. It's a different skill set and different responsibilities and have different wage scales, right? Or different, but at the same time, you're talking about, you know, a police chief that's been a police chief or in that field for 20 plus years. You're talking about a public works director who's been in that field for 20 plus years. You're talking about myself who's been in the municipal field for almost 20 years. You're talking about a series that also are supervisory to much more staff. It's not just one staff person or two, it's 14 or 16 or 6 or, so that does factor in, and it shouldn't be the sole factor, right? It shouldn't be like, well, that person's making this much money, so I should be making that much money. It's not like that. It's not cut and dry like that. But when you hire someone with an equivalent education and experience and background, it is going to affect the other upper management positions. It's inevitable.
Also, if you look at a planner, I mean, they're not just running, even if you had a planner and one in-house staff, if they were.
Yeah.
It's not just that, they're managing the whole thing. All.
Yeah, but they're not doing employee evaluations on you all. That would be not a good thing. They're not, they're not making recommendations to hire or fire or compensation. That's a lot different, They're managing personalities, which every public sector employee does. Yeah.
Almost $1 billion
Sure.
now.
But you could say that about a lot of our department heads. The police department is, like I said, I'm open to the idea. I have been open to the idea, but I just think that as the town manager, I have to look at the bigger picture. I can't just have a narrow focus on the planning department. I have to look at all the other departments and whatnot. So,
What would you think of this? I hadn't thought of it until you mentioned it, but
putting them both out.
what if, again, go out to other towns, see what they have with their planning position,
Mm-hmm.
put together a job description for that. And then maybe put that one out first. What do you typically put it out for, 30 days?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on the position. Some are until it's filled, but other ones have a deadline, you know?
Well, let's say we put that out and 3 weeks later, put out the second one. But give the planning, give the higher position.
Sure.
A lead. You know, and see after 3 weeks what we get in for responses. And then if it's, you know, one or less. Put out the second.
Well, Margarita, there's an email. from
Margarita,
I gotta get
Yeah,
this
I was
right,
gonna
so
say, you
Bill-
better get that right.
She. Margarita brought up a suggestion of, there was a website. A website or
Yeah, just
something
like
like,
a National Planners Association
Yeah,
website, yeah.
that she brought up during that, the planning board, and maybe there's some of those places where people look for new jobs, you know, and say, hey, and if it's planning. I don't, I mean, I brought up a headhunter only because my son, you know, he uses headhunters, but you know, you hire people that look for people in that area. What, I don't know what you get. I've never had that experience doing
I
that.
mean, pretty much there's, I mean, the only MRI is the only, you know, municipal kind of gig like that. And they're robbing Pater, you know, they're stealing people from other communities to
I mean,
fill other
well,
spots. Yeah.
that's truly, that's how it works,
Oh,
right?
yeah, I know, trust me.
That's how,
Yeah, I mean, like I would know, yeah, I would post, to be honest, I'd post it on Indeed. I'd post it on the New Hampshire.
I mean, we
Municipal
talk to MRI
Association.
and say, hey, look, there's someone out there that's not happy and they're looking for another
Well,
town.
that's gonna cost the town 10 grand. Just to put a feeler out there.
Well, you know, the other thing too, in my opinion, we're a little bit unique, communities around us. Number one, because we have a mountain here that attracts, you know, multi-million-dollar homes here. We have a mountain here that, you know, attracts thousands of people on weekends. I don't have to tell you that. You know, and consequently, what's going on here is different than the development here is different than the others. I mean, how many towns now are building 3 new hotels potentially? I mean, there's another potential hotel going next to us. So we got the Hampton Inn, we got the Home Suites, and we got this potential other one. And how many other communities around us are building, you know, 1,018 units over at South Peak? So and whatever's going on in Forest Ridge. I mean, so consequently, we're a little bit different. So we've got to get the person that's a right niche, not just some generalist that's going to come from a big city and say, oh, I can go to, you know, the sticks, so to speak, and you know, it's going to be a piece of cake. That's not what we want. We want somebody that's committed to the community.
I totally understand that, but I'll, you know, if I take a look at where we've been in history, I guess my comment would be, I don't want history to repeat itself.
You don't want what?
History to.
I don't want history to repeat itself. So where we've been in the past should not be, from my perspective, where we're going in the future.
Oh,
I
you
mean,
have to look at
I've listened to Karina just tonight. Is enough to make me want a person that can guide, take all of the responsibilities of the planning board away, not away from you, but you
Yeah,
know,
no, away
assess, but seriously, she's telling,
Yeah, like I.
she's telling you,
Like,
the
right,
board
Joe.
of selectmen members tonight. And first time I heard it, but she said she's been for the past couple of weeks or a month, she's been 50% of her time or thereabouts. That's a lot from a person that's supposed to be running this whole town. Okay, so, you know, we need somebody that really has the expertise to guide the stupid idiots like me when I'm sitting up there, you know, that say, hey, Paul, you're kind of out of line, you know, or Karina says that, and it's no, well, no, occasionally it sticks, but you know, seriously, I mean, I really think we would, I gotta tell you, I don't see Lincoln. I see Lincoln growing more, Jack. I know it's gonna grow more. We have more,
I agree with you.
we have more everything, and we're gonna need the best help we can get to guide us through this. And it's not gonna be by working her double time or by having somebody that doesn't have that kind of experience. It's gonna be from having somebody that does have that kind of experience, a good town manager, a good planner. That's what's gonna grow us to be
And a good select board too.
well, I was gonna go there, Jack. You didn't give me time. 2 out of 3 is not bad. Town planner.
Put that together, review it, put that out on the appropriate websites, not hire a,
Assistant at this point.
but not hire a company to promote it or.
No, I don't think we need to be honest. I
We
think
can do it
I,
ourselves.
I mean,
And I would like to see input from the planning board, you know, as far as the job description goes.
we sent that one out
Yeah,
to them.
and you know, they see what they, you know, based.
Well, the
on
town has a town
conversation.
planner one, but I don't know that it's,
it's a town manager, town planner one. I
Well-
can put together, I have a master's in HR. I can put together a town planning job description.
Right.
I'm not worried about that. Yeah.
And see what other towns
Um,
have. and just-
yeah, I'm
just,
not worried
so
about that.
What would you think, putting that together, reviewing that, getting that out and give it at least a 3-week head start over this? See what we get.
I
Yeah,
think
if we
I,
get 10 applications, we'll throw that one away.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
10
what I'd like to
Well,
see
not
is,
that Way, because we're gonna need someone to do the minutes and we're gonna need someone who's
that's
gonna,
okay.
Might be
right.
part-time.
might be part-time, but
And,
again,
so don't
part-time
throw that
help
away,
is
but-
hard
Look,
to find.
Again, I agree with that,
Okay.
but I think that, you know, again, we shouldn't be afraid of hiring people in the town of Lincoln because town of Lincoln's growing and
I don't disagree, right?
we're over $1 billion now in tax assessment. And if we can't pay for some good help, you know, to help us get through our next growing phase, then, I mean, I see the problems that we're having today. I mean, it's staggering between traffic and, you know, we're talking about seating and traffic and parking. And I mean, it's just, there's a lot of stuff to look into. And the planning board doesn't have the time to research all that. It really would take somebody that has some expertise in that and knows how to do that.
Are, elevations are, interpret or even connect up with Jason or Ray and work things out with a better knowledge, let's say, of engineering that they may have.
Well-
Karina, I don't know again how the office works, but when Carol was here working, I mean, I know she couldn't have just been doing planning board stuff. She must have had other jobs and such, right? I mean, she must have been very busy.
Well,
And, well, I'm just saying, or people, even if we got Einstein, if the planning person that we're going to hire can't, I'm gonna say, give the planning board its time first and then maybe do other things. Again, we could be hiring Einstein and it doesn't make a difference if that person can't give us the time that's needed to get our stuff done. And I don't know if that sounds selfish or not, but if we're hiring a town planner to work with the planning board and probably the zoning board too, I think that, again, I'm just asking, I could be way out in space somewhere, but I don't know if Carol focused as much on the planning board or things, and if you had her doing other things, or if she needed to separate her time. So even if the person that we're hiring is that they're gonna be able to really focus in on planning board, zoning board first as a high priority. Because other than that, I mean,
yeah, but Mike,
Difference.
that's not a town planner.
excuse me.
That's not a town planner. That's a planning that's a planning assistant, someone who's just gonna focus solely on the planning board's needs and the planning board's directives. A town planner is gonna take on their own roles and responsibilities and their own goals and objectives as far as development
Yeah,
and
but what-
zoning and.
Some of those would come from that board and the planning board, because like I said, I mean, even just looking at the financial portion of it and seeing what, even if you're paying them more, and if they get if one of their goals and objectives is to get a impact fee done for the town, like, imagine what that brings into the town of Lincoln. So, I mean, when you've got somebody that has that skill set, you know, like you do, you know, that with the numbers and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it really does, it really brings in that.
Paul, I don't disagree at all, but I also think that like what you're asking for, what you're envisioning right now is not someone who can also be doing all of your thousands of hours of research on, you know, every single email that we get to look into this and look into that and look into this and the minutes and the agendas and the noticing and the newspaper and, you know.
Jeremy?
I just think there's a lot of pressure. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think that the difference between the planner and the planning assistant, is less emphasis actually on reading plans and understanding. I think we have with two third-party engineers that do a great job with that. I don't think we need another, we don't need to convolute that with another person. I think that the planner, goes back more to what you said is, okay, we have a traffic situation in town. Let's look at that and talk about the riverfront park for parking, or by Gordy's for parking, or what are some solutions to that issue? To look at the stormwater management and say, okay, we have some issues up at certain developments where what we're doing just isn't practical. It looks great on paper, then we get up there and it doesn't work. How can we avoid that? Or what changes do we have to make to our permitting process that might streamline things by adding another step in there between a site plan and a land use permit where they can develop the site but not put a building up. Okay, what are some of these big picture things where the town needs to make a fundamental change in what we're doing, how we're processing, you know, what our rules are, what our ordinances are?
Right.
Look at those big picture stuff. And let Ray and Jay figure out how to get a building permit to Joe Schmo up on the hill. That's kind of what I'm thinking, and I think this is a good time to do that. I don't think we're too late. Is the horse out of the barn? Yeah, but it's still in the farmyard, so let's figure out what to do.
I mean, we've got like, OJ, sorry to interrupt, I mean, it's like when Loon came in, we invited Loon in and said, you know, your expansion and stuff like that. First time I had heard that Loon wasn't planning on putting any more increasing their parking with the whole expansion they're planning on doing over there. You know, we need somebody that can do that. And Tammy, you know what, I am probably a hard person, you know, but I gotta tell you what, things, yeah, you know, sometimes things go the wrong way and sometimes they go the right way, but it is, you know, I gotta tell you, my heart is in it for the town. It's not, I try to make it better when it comes to planning. Sometimes I don't do it the right way.
I think with someone new, I think we can't compare it to the person who currently holds that position because it's not going to look like that anymore. It's not going to, that has evolved over 15 years of time and roles and responsibilities being delegated, being taken. It's not going to look like that anymore. Now is the time to reestablish what that position looks like. I'm open to putting out a town planner first, seeing what we get, putting a 30-day timeline on it, reviewing what we have at the end of it. And if we don't have anything worthwhile, then we go to plan B. Because at least we know at that point, I won't be carrying the weight of the planning department. Because right now I am carrying the weight of the planning department. So at least if we got an administrator on board, your minutes would get done, your noticing would get done. It would help you at least get that ball rolling again. that doesn't include me.
Double your pay when you do that, bro.
No, 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 I don't want to be. I mean, as much as I love attending the planning board meetings and as much as I love, much as I love having, passionate conversations with Mr. Bowden, I do think
Karina, one thing I would strongly suggest is you reach out to some of the surrounding towns with job descriptions.
Yeah.
And pay scales.
Yeah.
And pay scales, and see, again, if we can be in that ballpark
Sure.
and, do your best.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I
Might
know
you
you
send you a couple of just things?
Sure, Paul. Have they already been sent? Should I check my email? No, I'm fine with that.
I think we have a clear path forward.
That's fine.
All right, this has been a great discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I-
When we all work together,
I will say that,
You say what you want, I get that skin.
I know you do, that's what I'm saying. Cameron has a point about the planning board and people and how we treat them and what they are. I will say, two of the best planning board meetings I've been to have been the last two. Okay,
He did say that.
I
Yep.
said this to
Yeah.
multiple people, but not in public, but I will. That you did a very good job running the last two meetings in how you presented things, the pace of the meeting, the inclusion, the collaboration. I mean, there was a lot of collaboration, especially 2 meetings ago when we were talking about
the master
the
plan.
master plan and I would say that publicly, and if the planning board continues in that fashion, and we have a town planner, I see a bright future for the
Success.
planning and success of the town.
I mean, I just look at down where we're going. I mean, for me, right now, it's helter skelter with the planning board. I mean, it truly is.
Mhm.
I mean, the comments are out there, but it's. When you hear so many. I don't want to say negative comments, but I hear a lot of just. Not good comments about. Where we are, the traffic or the this or that, how come the planning board's doing this, or how come the town's gone to shit and there's no locals anymore. So you're hearing all this and you come to a planning board meet and first thing you get is a developer wants to just build some more stuff and you're going, oh, here we go. Yeah, but no, but I understand you have to have both. I do understand that, but I need the help to get from that big professional person that kind of shows you that path and where it's gonna go. 'Cause I can't see it.
I just think that when there's collaboration more than contentious environment, it just. That process.
It's
goes
more productive.
smoothly.
Well,
It makes a
look,
huge
look,
difference on the board and it makes a huge difference on the applicants and.
You know, I'm gonna say one more thing. That the way the planning board has operated before I got there. I think was totally different than the way it is now, but I think there was a lot of things that were kind of. Let go, or not followed up on. And I think it got us into a position where we are today, where it's kind of like, who's supposed to do what? We want to make sure we do the right thing, and sometimes we don't know what that right. I mean, I spend, like I said, tons of time, and she can tell you, Karina can tell you. I mean, I research the living shit out of everything, but sometimes for the right, sometimes for the wrong. But I don't know just difference between the two until I find out. I mean, because there's no one there to tell me which one it is.
Anyway, with that. I think we have a path forward.
Sounds great, thank you.
Thank
for
you.
coming in. Wayne, did you have anything?
He's like, I'm not saying anything.
Thank you for coming. I'll make a motion, we go to non-public, we have a personnel issue to discuss.
And legal.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I gotta go use the bathroom.